Yeah. Hey, how are you?
It's so busy. Like one day, that's good news. It's easier. It's yeah. Yes. Right.
Morning.
Yeah, it's certainly. It's just like, all right, put me up, so all day, every day. Nothing on the page.
How are you, Stephanie? All right, everyone, good evening. We're gonna get started, but we can get you out of here hopefully on time.
Before the rain starts, I want to see the next swing.
Right. It is Wednesday, May 21st. We're getting started at 6:09 p.m. and we're gonna go right into our public hearing agenda. We have Addison and Gabriela from Olympic here. Yes, I believe they're both here. All right, come on to the front and feel free to begin when you're ready.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Okay, if you use the mic, yeah.
You got people on Zoom that came.
Hi, everyone.
Sorry, it's a little tall.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having us. I am Gabriela Krause. I'm the Civic Engagement Coordinator at Influences. And here is my partner in crime. My name is Addison Kaya, Community Coordinator at Influences. So today, we handed out some surveys that we are asking everyone to fill out today. This is part of the People's Money Participatory Budgeting process. So what you have in front of you is a Brooklyn ballot. So you get to choose where city money goes to, and it will fund programs or initiatives and workshops and events in Brooklyn. So there are 10 projects on the ballot, but only 5 will get funded. So you'll see that you can vote for as many projects as you would like. But at the end, only 5 do get funded, and we do ask that, once you are done, you flip over the ballot, and fill out the survey on the back. And then also please put your zip code. Lastly, please do not bend the ballot. And vote on just remain top for standing. If anyone has any questions, we'll be going around, and we will be handing out more ballots if anyone needs it. Thank you so much.
I have some here. Please fill them out today. Please give them to us. We need to make sure that the money in some of these programs that are there, can use, or whatever it is that you guys want.
Do we have any questions? About the participatory budgeting, the citywide program? Yep.
Sorry, this is like a technical question. It says here to mark an X in the box to select an option, which is different, but like, I feel like everything is like fill in the bubble all the way. Does it will it mess it up if you do it a different way?
If you do mess up, you can always give you an extra ballot. I'm just not sure if it goes through the scanner, if it would mess anything.
X's, not filling in the bubble.
Yeah.
That was also a little bit of a PSA because I almost messed it up.
You're not getting another one. You can keep on the test. He flunked his test because it says mark an X.
Any other questions for this item? Anyone on Zoom? I don't see any hands. Going once. Going twice. All right, we thank you for being here.
And that's our youth, so we better take care of them.
All right, we will move on now to the second agenda item, which is Sandra Sneed, the new CEO of Woodhull Hospital. Welcome. Oh. Yep, so she'll be back momentarily. We're gonna check to see if our next presenter is here. Anthony, are you ready to go?
Okay, can you guys hear me?
We can hear you now. Welcome.
Okay, all right. Am I up next? Are we on? Oh, okay. I thought we were. All right, let me turn on. Getting adjusted here with the Zoom. Make on my video screen so you guys can see me. Okay. All right. Good evening, everyone. Community Board 4. My name is Anthony Drummond. I'm with New York City Transit, Office of Government and Community Relations, and I believe I'm joined also too by my colleague Alberto Rodon, who's also from Government Community Relations, and we will be presenting on reduced fare Omni. Now, before we do. Just a quick question for a start. You guys have the presentation or should I just pull it up? Okie doke. Okay. Okay. All right. Looks like I can see it there. All right. Okay, I'll go ahead and kick it off here. Alberto, if you're there too, feel free to join in as well. All right, so the agenda, just we're gonna cover a few items here. We'll talk about the reduced fare basics, joining reduced fare, customers using reduced fare with their credit card, debit card, or mobile device, current customer transition, including Easy Pay, the Omni basics, your online Omni account, and then we'll take Q&A at the end of the presentation. All right, next slide. All right. Okay. Sorry here. I think my colleague Alberto needs to be made a panelist, just FYI. Okay. So the program basics, like who qualifies for reduced fare. So any person really basically over the age of 65 or over, can qualify for reduced fare. Next slide. And the person's qualifying for reduced fare, basically the person qualifying disability, and then that is receiving Medicare benefits, blindness, serial mental illness, also those receiving SSI, Social Security, income, deafness, hearing, ambulatory, cognitive, and other physical disability. So these are the categories here for those that can qualify within reduced fare. Right, next slide. All right, and to join reduced fare, most people have been hearing, MTA is going to be pretty much phasing out the Metro card, as we're moving towards Omni, and any as we said, for those moving towards Omni, and any reduced fare will be issued as an Omni card. So we have encouraged people to apply in person or via mail. Next slide. So, and there's ways to apply. Our main transit customer service center is located at 3 Stone Street in Lower Manhattan. But we also have customer service centers, specifically in Brooklyn. We have one at the Barclays Atlantic Terminal, and then there's also one in Coney Island for those who would like to go in person and not travel to Manhattan. We also have the mobile sales buses and vans, and you can also apply via mail. Now, application is available online, but we want to make that clear that you can go online, print it out, and mail in the application. So that's what that point is for number 4. All right, next slide. All right. This summary what to bring when you're applying. If you're over the age of 65, all you need is a valid photo ID. And those who may have a disability, you can bring a completed application with one of the following. It could be your Medicaid card, New York State blind card, or a medical documentation. Next slide. As mentioned previously, these are our customer service centers. They're open 24/7, specifically for Brooklyn. We have the as I mentioned, Atlantic Avenue Barclays Center, and Stillwell, Coney Island as well. Oh, and Myrtle Wyckoff, which is close to your area there for the community board. Right. Next slide. So current reduced fare customers. So next slide there. So if you've already joined reduced fare Omni, using your own card or device, so just know that this transition as definitely won't change what you have. No action is needed on your part. But also to clarify, you will not be getting a card in the mail if you have already joined or have the card itself. So just want to make that clear. Next slide. And for those that getting the Omni cards via mail, hopefully for those who have it. Oh, sorry, just one point to make. You can also purchase or reload your Omni card at select retail locations across the New York City area. So you can reload your card online if you register or have a registered Omni account, which is our omni.info #register. But if you prefer to use a vending machine, you can find one at the closest subway station near you as well. I know there's stations we're updating our system with the new Omni machine, so just wanted to make sure that point is made there. Okay, already in that slide. All right. So the Omni card is via in the mail. So you should have received the Omni card. If your reduced fare Metro card expires on the printed expiration date, can still use it. Oh, one of the things we want to make clear, because we have been receiving questions about, is that whatever we encourage you to spend down the balance that's on your reduced fare Metro card if you have it. Um, you can transfer that balance and the remaining balance over, but I would definitely want to strongly encourage whatever balance you have to get it down as low as possible before switching over to the Omni card. Right. And that's more same about Omni cards via mail, so we can skip that slide there. All right, so and if you haven't received your Omni card, I know there received a few calls about that, and you can definitely call 511. Want to make sure to check that your mailing address is correct, because sometimes they will mail the card or send the card based on the address that they have in the system. So make sure that the address that you provided is correct before sending. And if you of course go to a station booth, you'll need to apply for a permanent reduced fare Omni card. All right, so Omni basics, I'll go through this real quick. So this is what the Omni card will look like, and if you have it on the back, it will have the letters RF, which differentiates and indicates reduced fare. Um, There's no photo on the card, but for security purposes, so there won't be a picture on that. Next slide. All right, and there's no change in the costs as well. You will continue to enjoy like the same half price fares as you're doing today with your current MetroCard, subways, off-peak, local select buses, Staten Island Railway, Roosevelt Island Tram, as well as our external like Westchester, the B Line, nice bus for Nassau County. And all the free transfers during the Sundays on the bus will remain unchanged as well. All right. So for some of the using, there's basically tapping with the Omni card. There will be no more swiping. Uh, Pretty sure as those that also use their phone with the credit card, you just tap and swipe, hold it to the reader, and then go. All right, went through that. I could skip that and skip that too. And this is just for those how to load your money value on the Omni card. Again, set up online, again, omni.info. It can set up automatic refills using your credit card or debit card. Or for those who go in person, the Omni vending machines in our subway station can use that, and cash is also accepted. And of course, if you visit participating retail locations, again, you can find the nearest one through the omni.info/retail. It'll find the closest retail center for you. They can also accept cash, as well as at our mobile sales vans that travel throughout the borough. Fine. That's pretty much more the same, so we could skip that. And this one is our what our Omni vending machines will look like. You might have seen some of them at the stations. Um, give you a larger screen with higher contrast, text, languages, and audio assistance. Um, so that just gives you the visual aspect look of the Omni machines. And here our mobile sales vans. They cover all over the city. And so what we encourage is to use our mta.info / mobile sales to find the nearest location near you. And at these mobile vans, you can also transfer your MetroCard balance to the Omni card, and they can provide you a new Omni card as well. And here's just an example of various retailers. We have Walgreens, 7-Eleven, CVS, as samples where you can go in to refill your retailers set up to refill your reduced fare Omni card. That should be it. We can skip that one. All right. And new benefits of with Omni. This is an example here of earning free rides when you are tapping and use 12 times within a 7-day period. You never spend more than $17 more within that one 7-day period. So this gives you an example of from day 1 to 7 and earning a free ride after 12 taps. Right. And new benefits with the Omni account. You can track your progress, turns earning free rides, and skipping the vending machine lines. You can reload your card online and automatic refills. I like the current Easy Pay program. And you're also able to freeze your card if it's ever lost or stolen. And here is various websites if you need help with your Omni. Again, encouraging the omni.info, reduce fare Omni, as well as our customer service centers, both at the 3 Stone Street, as well as the sites I mentioned here in Brooklyn, and our mobile sales vans. And you can also call our call center. Number there is provided as well. Okay. Again, location and info. I think that should be it. All right. And that's pretty much it. Michelle, I know there was a lot of information. Be happy to take any questions from the audience. And my colleague Alberto is there too. Thank you guys very much.
Good evening, and that's spelling community board 4. My question is, seniors were given a special access card some time ago, and now it's being replaced by the Omni. Are the seniors getting the discounts that they were getting before?
Yeah, the reduced fare benefit is embedded in the card, so that benefit has not changed with Omni.
Can we repeat that, please?
The reduced fare benefit for those customers, it's inside the card. Like the card is programmed to be reduced fare.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening, Jolene Bennett, Community Board 4. In the past, I have lost my half fare card and I got it replaced by the NTA. It had a picture on it. And it also, when I received my new card, it also contained the balance that was left on my lost card. So is the Omni system able to do that? If you lose your card, will it transfer the balance from your previous card to the replacement card?
Yes. So great question. So if you lose your card, let's say today, right? With Omni, you can get your card the same day at one of the 15 centers or the mobile sales van. And then once you call it in as lost or stolen, the card is frozen. So the balance remains in that account. And once you replace it, that balance does transfer over.
Hi, hello. My question is, if a person's already signed up for Access a Ride and they're 65 or older, can they also apply for the reduced fare program?
There are customers who have both. If you're 65 plus and you have reduced fare, you can also qualify for Access a Ride, given whatever your situation is and you qualify. Yeah, you can get both. So in that case, you would get two cards. You get one for reduced fare, and then you get the accessoride identification card. And that would have the 4 free rides that you would get for yourself and your personal care attendant should they be with you.
Okay, so the reduced fare, would that apply for the fee on the access to ride?
The accessoride, I believe is still $290.
I think so too.
Right,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm speaking on behalf of my mom. She has a Metro card as well that they've given her to use public transportation with 4 free rides on it. But when she uses one of the access to ride vehicles, she still has to pay the $290. So that wouldn't change.
Right, that would not change.
Okay, thank you.
I just, for point of information, I just wanted to. So if she has a car and she pays $290, and she gets a half fare card, and then she $140, and she's paying $290, she's not getting anything.
But the half fare is for the subway and the bus. Accessoride is different in that sense.
Okay, got it, okay.
Mhm. Yep.
Sorry, so the reason I'm asking is I also know somebody else who's younger than 65, has access to ride and reduced fare, and they get reduced fare on the access to ride vehicle, but they're younger than 65. So that's why I'm asking what the case would be for someone who's 65 or older and wants to apply for reduced fare.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds like a qualifying disability, right? If they're not 65. So that's the other program that we administer with the MTA.
Didn't hear what you said, can you talk a little louder?
Yeah, so there's two programs. The one that you just described sounds like our disability qualifying disability program that we administer. So in that case, they can get the half fare through that program.
And that's maybe voice for again. Question is, do you automatically get a transfer when you use your Omni card to go from one bus to the other? And
Transfers remain the same.
From
Sorry.
the bus to the train?
Yeah, so transfers remain unchanged. Same way your Metro card transfers, that is the same process with your Omni card.
So that's automatic? You don't have
Yes,
transport transfer?
automatic.
Anyone else? I have my card here, and it's the old one, and then this is the new one. The old one, when you finish using it up, the money should be already on here. If not, save the card and go to the location and they'll transfer the money over to this card. And I think it's just the tap, and they don't have my sexy picture on this one, so.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Z, Community Board 4 member. Can anyone hear me? First of all,
Yeah, we can hear you.
okay, I do have a question with the Omni card, especially for seniors. My question is this: when you refill, I try to do it for my mother. Do you always have to refill with $17? Because I didn't see an option to refill with less than $17, and she did receive it. But as for accessory, that's another beast in the making, because they didn't send her a new one either. So she only has an Omni card at this moment. But when it comes to refilling, do you always have to refill with $17?
No, you can refill any amount. The $17 sorry. The $17 on the machine, you see $17, that's the cost of a weekly unlimited. So that's there to encourage folks who normally would buy an unlimited to just pay that up front, and then they could just tap their 12 rides for that week and ride for free the rest of that week. But you can refill whatever amount you want.
She doesn't swipe like when we used to swipe on the card. Oh, on the bus, they don't have it. how do you know how much money you have left over? You go in and you tap it and you realize you can't go in, you got no money?
Yeah, so a feature of the Omni system, unlike the Metro card, is let's say you have an amount on your card, right? But it's not the full fare to get you on the bus. We won't leave you stranded, if that makes sense. We'll let you tap onto the system, the train or the bus, and then when you refill, it balances out that fare.
Anything else? On once? On twice? All right, thank you to the MTA for being here this evening. We appreciate you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
All right, and we will go
All right.
back to our final public hearing
Thank
item.
you.
It is Sandra Sneed, CEO of Woodall Hospital. Welcome.
Well, good evening. Good evening, everyone. Okay, this is, community of Georgia District 53. And I, 54, or 53 for CB4. Okay, 36. So I wanted to come tonight to meet you and introduce you to myself. My name is Sandra Sneed, and I am the new Chief Executive Officer for Woodhall Hospital. And I'm also.
Can you talk into the mic?
Okay. Oh, I can. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. So my name is Sandra Sneed, and I am the new Chief Executive Officer for Woodhall Hospital, one of the New York City Housing Hospital Corporation, and we are a 262 beds, and we are a community hospital, resort hospital. And our service area is Bushwick, Bed-Stuy, Williamsburg, Greentown, and some of the surrounding sectors. So, with me, most of you know us, is Jessica Orocho, who is our Director of Community Affairs. So I want to tell you just a little bit about myself, how I got here. And then Jessica and I are going to speak with you about some of the programs that we offer at Woodhall. So I am a native New Yorker, born and raised in Queens, Queens General Hospital. I was born with Woodhall, when it was called Queens General. But the Gettysburg, New York City Health and Hospital Association. I grew up in Long Island and went to school. I actually started school right here. I went to PS 36 and PS 87 before my parents moved out to Roosevelt, Long Island. And then I left to go to college upstate in Syracuse. Then I came back down and I majored my profession with occupational therapy. And so then I worked at Bellevue, I worked at Queens General Hospital, and I worked at Queens Clinic. And then just about in the late 90s, I moved to Michigan because I got married. And that's the only reason I got married. I was a native diehard New Yorker. With other states, I've been able to work and live in Michigan, Ohio, Texas, and Florida. And they would call me the person from New York, and they call me Nancy. And they told me New York. So that, I'm happy to come back here. I'm really happy, and I think I'm very privileged and honored to be able to meet Woodhall. So that's a little bit about my background, and I wanted to talk to you about what we do at Woodhall. So how many
Are familiar with Woodhall? Everybody. Okay. All right. I'm afraid to ask this one, but how many of you have a good opinion of Woodhall? I don't see enough hands. Okay. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. How about this side? Okay. Okay. Well, that's my job and the job of my team to restore your confidence. I do hear some things about our history, but I do know that we have a really strong team. We have a lot of new physicians. In fact, I will be bringing our chief medical officer to your next board meeting so that you can meet him. So there's been a lot of changes. What I say to my team is that we're going from good to great. We have some very good programs at Woodhall. We also have some challenges. Unfortunately, like a lot of hospitals, we're not perfect. But what we do at Woodhall, we own it. We own it. We have accepted it. We've apologized for some of the things that happened there. And I can tell you that a lot of those things that happened, the people who may have caused them are no longer with us. So I'm standing here before you because I'm very proud of Woodhall. And I know that we're on an upward trajectory. And so people only sometimes, unfortunately, you can do 10 things well, and the one thing you do wrong, that's what people remember, you know? So I'm here to talk about all the good that we do, and we're getting better. So let me start with maternal child health, because that's probably one of the programs that we've had to do a lot of work around. We have a brand new chair. She's outstanding and she's exceptional. Her name is Dr. Wendy Wilcox. And so she is restoring, she's already trained. We've trained all of our OBGYN physicians, we've trained our nurses, we've trained our midwives, and we've trained our nurses and physician assistants on what we call fetal monitoring, how to monitor and look for signs inside the mommy when the baby is inside the mommy's belly. So we have paid a lot of money to train all of our people. And we also just went through, oh my God, I can't tell you how many state inspections we went through CMS, and we've passed them all. We just got a letter saying that we have been restored to full conditions on participations, which means they recognize us as a competent hospital for maternity care, particularly for uncomplicated pregnancies. And what I do want to say is that we've also been rated very highly by the US and News World Report, and they actually use board certified physicians to judge programs. So it's not just a popularity contest, and they use the same criteria for hospitals all over the country. So we are a high performing hospital for maternity care for uncomplicated pregnancies. We also are high performing for diabetes, and we're high performing for a COPD, chronic obstructive COPD, pulmonary disease. In addition to that, so we're on an upward trajectory as far as our maternal child health. And we also have confidence, one of our elected officials, our borough president, Antonio Reynoso, who has a lot of confidence in us. And he also had one of his children in a hospital. He says that Woodhall is his hospital. So he has donated several $1,000,000 over for us to restore our birthing units. So we are right now, we're in the design build phase, but we're getting ready to start construction. And we're going to renovate our birthing area, labor, mother, and we call it labor and birthing. So that's our maternal care. You know, you can trust us. And what we have very strong transfer processes. So if we recognize symptoms that we can't address, we send you to Kings County, or we will send you to Bellevue. And those are what they call regional centers, where they can take care of the most complex pregnancies. The other thing I want to talk about is bariatrics. We have an outstanding center of excellence for bariatrics. Dr. Andrade is a surgeon that joined us about 2 years ago. He's really been building up that program. In addition to that, we are a center of excellence for SART. SART is Sexual Assault Response Team. And so we are leaving a lot of flyers over here. Please take them, because we are a center of excellence. So unfortunately, for any woman or male who has been assaulted, we are a center of excellence. All right, so that's another thing that we're very proud of. We have a very strong behavioral health program. And we we have several flyers over here. So we have what we call the show van. Anybody know what that van is? Anybody heard of it? Okay, show is street health outreach. And what it is a van that is staffed by a MD, a medical doctor, is staffed by an addiction counselor, by a social worker, by a community health worker. And so we go out into the community, and then the staff on that van, they get out and they pan out and they go within a 10-block radius. And what they do is just deal with people who are transient, and if they're, having a mental situation where either it's drug induced or they are experiencing a mental health crisis. This is the team that tries to outreach them and, make it easier for them to get care. So that's called the show van, and we're very fortunate. We also have a very active mobile crisis unit. Again, I have flyers. Jessica has brought flyers, so please feel free to take them. But we have a very strong, because unfortunately, mental health is very prevalent. And when we look at our statistics, it's very prevalent in our service area. So Woodhull has a very strong program. I always say to the team that we can't be all things to all people, but the things that we do, we're going to do exceptionally well. So these programs I'm telling you about, we do very, very well. And last but not least, we are a primary stroke center, certified primary stroke center. So what that means is that if you're having a stroke or you notice the signs and symptoms of a stroke, if you get that person, once you identify them, if you get that person to Woodhull, we can deliver a drug. It's a thrombolytic, which means it can bust the clot, because about 80% of strokes are from blood clots, or what we call ischemia. Just, if you want to think of, it's like clogged arteries or clogged vessels. And so this drug actually can bust it and restore the blood flow, because that's what's happening when you're having a stroke. There's a part of your blood has been cut off to your brain tissue. And so there's an acronym that we use, and I like to use it. I'm going to share it with you, and then I'm going to turn it over to Jessica. But I always like to ask, how many of you recognize the signs and symptoms of a stroke? Could you stand up and tell us? Okay.
I've heard of this symptoms of a stroke or the abbreviation back, face, arms, speech. I don't know.
Time. Okay, thank you, because you are absolutely right. Okay, and well, yeah, we'll have to give him something, because that's great. And what he told, we've expanded it, but you're absolutely right. Up until about 5 or 6 years ago, it was fast. And so, as the gentleman just said, fast, look at someone's face. Okay, is it slurring on one side? When you look at their face, is it drooping? Check their arms, have them do this. Is one hanging down? Okay. Then you want to look at their speech. Are they slurring their words? And time, T is for time. And why is that important? Because brain tissue is just, it starts to die immediately. It's time. So if you could act quickly and get that call EMS, or if you can, get the person to Woodhull or some other hospital, but Woodhull, I'm here for Woodhull. So because we have a whole protocol, that's why we're a certified primary stroke center, because we have protocols and processes in place to get it, we assess that patient and we can get them the drug. So now I just want to add one thing to the gentleman's fast. Now we say be fast. You know why we've added be fast? Because be balance. People also lose their balance. So you can look and see if the person is, wavering. Okay. And then the BE is for eyes. So also because sometimes you start to get blurred vision. So the acronym for stroke is B FAST, okay? Balance, eyes, face, arms, speech, and time. And so we are here to serve you. And again, we want to regain the trust in the community. So the next time I'm here, I hope when I say, whether you know about Woodhall, good. I hope that I see more hands raised. But I also hope you guys don't need to come because, you know, nobody gets up and say, I want to go to the hospital. But in the unfortunate situation where you need health care, Woodhall is here. Now, Jessica, our director of community affairs, she's going to add to what I just said, and she's going to translate BFAST for those who speak Spanish.
Is there anyone here that needs translation for the Spanish component? No? No, thank you very much. That's like, you're brilliant. You're brilliant. Thank you. So I also wanted to just add really quickly, you know, born and raised in this community in Bushwick, part of my role at the hospital, especially during COVID, because I started during COVID. COVID was what welcomed me to the hospital, basically. So we went through so many changes, and community did so much for us that I thought it was very important for Woodhall. When I say us, meaning Woodhall, the staff, I thought it was important for us to give back. So we have an incentive called Woodhall Gives Back. And this incentive started off with the backpacks. The first year, the staff was just so elated because of so many wonderful things community did for us. They were so happy with all the, you know, with everything that the community did for us. I said, guys, we've got to give back. And they were giving back backpacks fully loaded for the kids in the community. So that was one thing. That was the first year, 700. Second year was 2,000. And then we've gotten as far as 4,000 backpacks that we share with all the districts, the school districts, with community, with churches, with CBOs. Then we didn't stop there. We started the Adopt a Family. And so I would reach out to CBOs and churches, and for during the Christmas time, you know, for families that needed coats, hats, and scarves, and a lot of doctors and staff that adopted families. Now this is now called Dress for Success. And Dress for Success, and this is part of the Woodhall Gives Back incentive. I want you guys to know what we're doing on the outskirts, you know, for our community. This is for the kids of the community, the high schools. This falls in turn also with the violence interruption program that I'm also in charge of. It's called the Cure Violence. We are working with the high school students and getting them prepared for interviews and for future successes, right? And so when you're cleaning out your closets, you know, spring cleaning, winter cleaning, summer cleaning, and you have suits that are clean and that they're in great condition, know that if you do give them to us, we've already, like we've collected from the staff. We've been able to sponsor 3 high schools this year: Williamsburg, the Lions School, and Progress High School. That means we had a little over 200 suits for men and women, as well as dress shoes and ties. So I'm just reaching out to you all. If you want us to donate to a particular high school out here, let us know, because we still have more and we continue receiving them. Or if you have some nice suits, remember Woodhall, and you know that if you bring them to me, they're gonna go to a true purpose, okay? And that's all. We have a plethora of services. If you need to know anything about the hospital, you need any information, feel free to reach out to me. I will help you in any way that I can.
Thank you. Any questions? Any right here? Questions right? Question 1. Yeah, I know. I know this guy. Tell him a lot.
Congratulations on your appointment as CEO at our local hospital. And thank you for coming by to introduce yourself and getting to know our board. That's highly appreciated.
Anyone else? Hi, my name is Pablo Rivera. Yeah, I was the one with the half hand up, right? So I worked for HAC for a few years. I was a coordinating manager for quality management at Lincoln, Harlem, Metropolitan. The only hospital that didn't work actually was Woodhull. But once you're in, you admit it. Once you go to the clinics, it's really, really good at Woodhull. The care you get, my experience is good. My beef it was that emergency room, and I think that a trauma center, right? Because you guys are a trauma center. Stabbings, things, they go there, right? Or it used to be. And then you also have a lot of the addiction, people with addiction. So when you're in the emergency room, a lot of people in the emergency room get harassed. And people say, I'm not going to the emergency room no more. So that's if there was a way to expand, like other hospitals have done, the emergency room would have a fast track and they have this, and you guys will hit the jackpot. Yeah, a long time, yes. So to be fair, a long time.
Okay.
Okay, good.
But thank you. I appreciate that. And I appreciate the honesty and the transparency. And we have an emergency department just for our mentally challenged. We do have a fast track. We do struggle because we are here for the community, and the statistics show that we have high rates of addiction and mental illness in our community. So what we're doing now is making sure that we put people in the appropriate areas. But if you have a problem, anybody here, if you have a problem in our ED, you can reach out to Jessica, or you can even call administration, and we will try to address it. Cliff Miller is the Associate Executive Director for our emergency department, and he's very responsive. Since I've been there just not even 2 months yet, and we've had a couple of concerns, and he addressed it immediately. So thank you again for your feedback, but it has been a while, and we just want to invite you. If you want to come see how we are now, we can arrange a tour for you.
Got someone here.
Good evening, everyone. Felix Ceballos, CB4. Thank you very much, Sandra, and thank you for your transparency, and also be honest. You try to now do the best in the hospital, because we had 2 hospitals around Wuho and Waco Hospital. So we appreciate that you going to try the best do the best service you can. And like I say, it's very important for our community. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I just want to, before we hand the mic over and you guys, I just want to, I know things change and people come in. So we hope that we don't remove our young lady here, because we love her to death. I've been on that board. I was on the advisory board from 85 to 2004. My daughter was born in that hospital in 83. That was supposed to be in a prison. That's why you see it brown. So I know what it's like, and I served on that board. And the people that are there are great people and live in this community. And we want to make sure that the people that put stakes in this community have somewhere to work when they can work with their people. Because you go to the hospital and you see someone you know that they're going to take care of you. Someone that's just like you. I went to a walkthrough with a board member from here that's on the cab. And there's a new mental building there for services. It's beautiful. I went in there. It took us for the tour. The doctor is amazing. I couldn't believe how she was working with the people that were mentally ill. They knew who she was. They knew who the doctor was. They went up to her and hugged her, and the employees did the same thing. You know, sometimes when you go to job and you see your employee and you playing around, you know you gotta, because your boss is around, right? No, I was serious. So I go to one place, it's beautiful. They have their rooms separate. It's nice and clean. I went in all the rooms. You know, people were doing their work and some people were doing. I go to the other side. And what I tell everybody here now, it's horrendous. Why? Because they only have funding to do one side of the mental spot. And they left that other side that needed. So I'm encouraging all of you that are complaining that we don't want no enforcement, that people need mental health. There's room there. There's room in there. But they can only serve one portion because the other portion is terrible. Yes, and there's also, that's right, we want, the A3 needs that. So when they go to a job and they see this person is sick, that they know they're gonna go to someone that they don't have to get involved, that they're in the right hands. It's like the insurance, Allstate, you in the right hands? With Allstate, we wanna make sure that they're in the right hands. So I encourage everybody, all the fighters that want to take away from PD, from being taken care of mental, let's get money, let our elected officials pump some money into that place, where we could bring our people back in there, in the places and the beds that are needed there. That's what we gotta do. Because it's easy to have a beautiful play. You guys gotta go there. She gave you the invite. Call up, we can go there, you can see how beautiful it is. But the other side is terrible. You walk in there, they got old furniture, they got little kid play furniture, plastic beds. It's terrible. So I encourage all of you to tell all our elected officials, everyone that got some money that can't get it out, that is at the end of the year, we'll all take it, but we want to make sure that our people can reap the reap, because I know a board member that was having an issue with her daughter, and she went there and she was telling me it was beautiful. The only thing that she had the problem with is that sometimes when they want to see their mom and their dad and their parents, they can't, and it's hard. Because sometimes they're in situations where they're working with people. My grandson was one. And I say it like that because my grandson graduated out of high school and he was going to college. And he got depressed and he was lost for a day or two. We couldn't find him. I know Alex, my oldest son, and we were traumatized. So he picked him up. They brought him, he was in Bellevue. Thank God now he's going to college and he's doing good. We all need, you know, things can happen in life. So we all need to have something close where we can reach and go to make sure that we get quality service. So I'm putting you to the poll because I know a lot of CEOs that come and go, and they come and go, we don't know where they go or why they leave, or executive boards throw them out. We don't know what's going on. So we want to make sure that you come back to us and make sure that if we have issues, we have somewhere to go and be the head person to let them know why is it and how is it, and explain to them. Because I'm not a doctor, just like this young man said that he can tell. But if we can't and we don't know, we need to go somewhere where they can help us and guide us. I have someone here, and then I have, I'm sorry, our chair here.
Good evening. This is Joanna Bennett again. And for those of you who did not know, that was Robert Camacho, the chairman of our Community Board 4. And I would just like to remind every speaker to please say your name. And if you're with an organization or if you're a member of Community Board 4, please identify yourself for the point of our transcriptionist. Thank you very much. Good evening. I'm Virgie Jones, CB4. And I just want to say thank you for coming to present, and also to personally thank Jessica. My mom was visiting a couple of years ago, and she turned 91 in December. A couple of years ago, she was beginning to get dementia, and she was having some problems with her tooth while she was here in New York. And I spoke to, I think, Mr. Camacho and some other people, and they suggested that I contact Jessica. Jessica went over and beyond. And I thank you. Thankfully, my mom got it together. We didn't have to go to the hospital, but Jessica said if we did have to go, she gave us step by step exactly what to do. And she even inquired about my mom's, insurance benefits and everything. And I just want to say thank you and welcome. All right. And also on behalf of Shape Up Bushwick, Woodhall has always been very instrumental. And, and we appreciate it. And we hope the relationship will continue. Thank you again.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate those words of praise for Jessica Arocho. So, Mr. Camachi, Jessica is not going anywhere. There's nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
And Jessica has.
But we don't want
become-
nobody to take it, so maybe you can get.
No, she's not.
I'm gonna request the board to see if you can get a raise. Oh, you like that, right? Anybody second that?
Well, we will see about that. And we will see. Perhaps she will. I do want to just respond to a couple of things you said, and I think this is a really good forum to share it. So thank you for your transparency about your son. And yes, we do have a beautifully renovated behavioral health unit, and he's right. I taught it today. There is a part that still needs to be renovated, and he's right. It is funding. It is funding. I will tell you, there's a lot of things we need. We need funding to improve the aesthetics of our building, inside and out. We have, it's an old building. I hear that it was going to be a prison, but regardless, it was open in 1982. And so it is an old building. And there are things that we have to do to maintain that building. And so it does take funding. I'll give you an idea. First thing I noticed is because I say, and Jessica, anyone who's listened to me, I was frustrated with the windows. I said, I don't understand how come we have all these dirty windows. Okay, it looks like a factory. I worked there. And when I walked in for my interview back in January, I said, what am I going into? But the minute I got into the hospital, it was clean, the warmth of the people, and I immediately changed and I forgot about the outside. But I still feel that the community deserves a better looking building. So for instance, we do have a lot of expenses. We need to renovate our ED. We did get money from the borough president for our maternal child health unit. We do have some funds for, I think we have enough, to finish the other side. However, just to clean the windows, I just got a quote, $455,000. We don't have that in our budget. Now I'm going to be asking.
That's what we were saying, yeah.
So those are some of the challenges that we have. And we're trying, I am trying to see, how we can get funding, because I was told by somebody, well, that's not so important. And it's hard to clean windows. And I'm like, no, look at all these skyscrapers. They have clean windows. I'm not accepting that. So, but the funding is real. And so we have to keep working on it and keep advocating for funding. But before I sit down, I just want to respond to Mr. Robert Camacho. Mental health is the one thing that we don't do well in this country. We have a lot of good clinical programs. If you have a stroke, if you have cancer, if you have a heart attack, if you have COPD, if you have diabetes, you can get really good care and cutting edge care. If it's you're mentally challenged, it really depends on what state you're in, what hospital you're in. And if you've had a loved one, if anybody has had a loved one like Mr. Camacho and myself, it's heartbreaking, because you see the paucity of services. They're just not there. A lot of our homeless are people struggling with mental illness. So I'm really, really proud of what we do at behavioral health here at Woodhall. And that is, our numbers tell us that mental mental health, mental challenges. We're trying to erase the stigma as well. But those who have are mentally challenged or have family members or friends, we have a really strong program, even though one half doesn't look as pretty. The walls are old, you know, they haven't been painted and the furniture's not new, but the care and the empathy and the skill is there. I worked with that team. I spent like almost 3 hours with them. Very dedicated, very committed to the population we serve. And as I said earlier, when I started talking about my background, I've lived in Michigan, I've lived in Ohio, I've lived in Texas, and I've lived in Florida. Florida also has pretty decent mental health services. Those other states really don't. They really don't. And I saw my own brother suffer and get lost in the cracks. So I can just tell you, and unfortunately, what we do, what I saw in my own eyes, because my family's been struggling with this for decades, is we can throw them in jail, but we can't give them any real help. So, you know, we need to be real sensitive on how we treat our behavioral health patients. If you've ever loved somebody who's mentally, you know, struggling, you'll know what I'm talking about. So we do have a really good behavioral health program, and I'm happy to say it, that
Thank
we
you.
have that at Woodhall.
We have a meeting to go. I thank you. I appreciate it. We got a long agenda. And thank you. We're opening up. Roll call.
That's it for the public hearing. And yeah, we'll move on to the first roll call. Did everyone, all board members, please sign in up front? If you have not signed in, the sign-in sheet is here, board members. All right, we will be. Third time's the charm. Here we go. Everyone on Zoom, please be ready. Isa Abni, Stephanie Anderson, Tiani Belliard, Joanna Bennett, Robert Camacho, Kevin Campbell, Felix Ceballos, Andrew Choi, Alvina Davis,
Present.
Freddie Fowler, Joanna Fuentes Singh, Alan Gamboa, Jason Gares, Christopher Graham, Ann Guiney, Elaine Hamilton, Zachary Hendrickson, Courtney Henley, Deborah Hicks,
Here.
Tanisha Honeygan,
Present.
Barbara Jackson, Virgie Jones, Tara Jones Thomas, Luisa Jose is excused, Giovanni Justiniano, Nancy Keith, Cindy LeBron, Christine Malden, Freddie Madison, Alex Moreno, Ramika Nichols Barnes is excused, Zuma Novoa,
Present.
Cirillo Nunez, Garrison Ortiz Guzman, Laura Ranzado is excused, Shrey Richardson, Pablo Rivera,
Here.
Raul Rubio is excused, Eliseo Ruiz,
Here.
Josue Salazar, Milagro Sandoval, Juan Serra, Annette Spellin, B. Spiderman, James Stewart,
Here.
Savannah Ty is excused, Christian Tate, Ben Tucker, Jerry Valentine, Linda Whitfield. I'll give folks a moment to sign in.
Hi, Lauren Otto here.
Thank you, Laura. I'll make a note. Just a note, if I do not hear you, then you cannot be marked as a present. Yep. If there is a tech issue, I have to note it as such.
Celeste, I'm here. This is Issa.
Thank you, Issa.
This is Laura Renzato, just making sure that you can hear me too.
Yes, Laura, I heard you earlier. I've marked that you're on Zoom. I will now do the tally for board members that are in person. They are the only ones that count towards quorum. Thirty board members are present. That constitutes quorum. Thank you, everyone. All right, moving on to the second agenda item, acceptance of the agenda. Is there a motion? Felix makes a motion. Is there a second? A second by Barbara Jackson. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? All in favor? Motion carries. Agenda item number 3, acceptance of the previous meeting minutes. I would like to kindly ask for a motion to table this evening. We did not have our usual assistants, and it's taken me a little bit longer to prepare the minutes.
I, Robert Camacho, request to table the previous minutes.
Thank Joanna Bennett seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All in favor? Motion
Aye.
carries. And moving on now to agenda item number 4, our chairperson's report. Mr. Camacho.
How are you? Thank everybody to come. I know we have new board members here. Is there any way that we can have them sign up and we can see who they are? All new board members, please stand, please. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Meet each other, greet each other, find out about each other. Because every community is different, every side, every section is different. So we want to make sure that we're supporting the Bushwick community. You know, we know everybody has different outside of the board, different organizations. But when you come here, we represent Bushwick and the people in general. I know everybody has friends that, and just, if anyone has any issue, there are bylaws. One, there is a charter revision that we're mandated, and we also have a legal department. So if you guys think that anything that you're suggesting needs any corrections in regards, because I know we meet people and they say, yo, I want to go to board, I want to open up a club and I want to get some liquor license, and I know you on a board, maybe you can, give it. That's not how the way it works. That's not how the way it works. Because some of these places is residential, and the people that quality of life, and we want to make sure that everybody works together on the same page, and we all here for one thing, to service Bushwick and to work together. So thank you guys, I appreciate it. We're fighting for people to get on. Other community boards like Manhattan got a list, 5 years. I don't know why, but they got a list for 5 years. So I want to thank you guys. Welcome. We're here, whatever you guys want. And the attendance is important, very important, because nothing can go through without you. If we don't have an attendant, nothing goes through, and it really looks bad when I go to Borough Hall, and you got these people that want to develop something, and we didn't have quorum to do something. So now they can push the agenda forward and not the community's agenda. So you want to make sure that we work together, all of us. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. Thursday, April 17th, there was a meeting here at Hope Garden, TA. Hope Garden, TA for, I know I've been getting yelled at as by some of the TAs in Hope Garden because they're asking us, why haven't we invited management from Hope Garden to give us an update? We always hear complaints about it. And I know that CB1 requested that Wavecrest give a presentation and address some of the concerns, and they let them have it. So I think we should be hope Housing Land Use can request that we invite the people that if anybody know what I'm talking about, Hope Garden is no longer on the NYCHERS, it's run under property management, which is called Wavecrest. And it's the building is under Section 8. So your rent gets subsidized 30% of your income. And you have people here that have been here so many years. And if your grandmother lived here 60 years and your kids are still living there and they work, their income is part of their thing. And if they're not on the lease and grandma has a 3-bedroom, grandma's gonna go to a 1-bedroom or studio and your kids will be out the window. So, we want to make sure that we do. And I tell them constantly that they be in the profile because God forbid something happens to your parents, you have rights to that apartment. So we want to make sure that we can continue our community together. So Hope Garden is really, and it's a good thing. I think it is a good thing because I know that when they call 311 and they call the office, we call the buildings department, they get fined. And if they get fined, and they do every year, they do recertification. And if the apartment don't pass inspection, they don't get the money, that subsidies that they supposed to get. They only get the 30% that the tenant pay. So if they come back to us and tell us they need money to fix something, maybe they should go out and fix these apartments and they'll get the money that they're supposed to get. So that's what it is. So we want to make sure that we help our tenants. The same day, I went to the NCO at 10 Forest. Thank you, Captain. It was very well attended. You indicated 25. I think I missed a couple, but I owe you a couple of them. Monday, the 21st, I met with the open street at Casey's. I don't know if anybody know what Casey is. That's that a beer, a brewery. It's a beer brewery, right? Yeah, it's a brewery. And they had a meeting in regards to the open streets. They have permits for the whole, I think it's until November. So I met with them. They were getting their stuff together. On Thursday, the 24th at 1, we had the Shape of Bushwick event. I guess Alina, the chair of the committee, will speak on that. On Friday, the 25th, there was a ribbon cutting ceremony for Father Monsignor Powers. Everybody remembers Monsignor Powers? Bleecker and Central was named after him. He used to have summer youth program. When I was 14 years old, I used to work in the youth program with Father Powers when it was on 144 Bleecker. That building there now is luxurious condos. So he fought a lot for affordable housing, especially in Bushwick. So God bless him, and our prayers are with him. Same day, we had a ribbon cutting at 335 Central, the health department. Y'all guys went by there? It's beautiful, right? Right? So let's bring people in there. You know what happens when it's not used, right? When it's not being used, it's real estate, and there's gonna be a big building there, and we ain't gonna live there. So we gotta use it. There's open space there. We gotta get people in there. We need to get people in there to use the place. There's services in there. I know they're gonna have an open space. So Pablo, if you have any meetings you need to do,
Let's see if we can set them up in there, and we do in there, bring the kids in there and do whatever it is we got to do. If kids need injections or shots or any checkups, let's use it. Let's use it. Let's make sure. Also, we had a meeting on April 28th, Monday at 3:30, the Wolf Outport. Everybody know where the Wolf Outport is, right? Well, I know a lot of people don't know because we have new people here, but I'm gonna tell you, back Cooper, on the other side where the ice factory was, there was radiation. So that whole area, they scooping up the dirt and putting it in the truck and they taking it out. I don't know what they're gonna do with the land, but we wanna make sure if it is, it's gonna be affordable housing, but we wanna make sure that the radiation is out before we get affordable housing. Y'all laughing, I'm serious. So they're federal government. Thank you for our Congresswoman, Nydia Velasquez. They got money to get the radiation out of there. So they was giving us a route and truck routes that they're gonna start excavating the area to remove the radiation that's on that. Cause that used to be a factory for radiations and stuff back in the day. So that we were in a meeting with them. That same day at 6, there was a YECP meeting, Youth and Education Committee, it's abbreviation. Tuesday, I had a staff meeting with Celeste and the staff on the gender. As you see, we had corrections in regards to areas in our meetings, because they do write the reports. We want to make sure that everything is written right, times and dates. Also, staff are expected to communicate task support and staff's concern via email. If they have any issue, concern, everything should be done by email. So like that, we all on the same page, and I can follow up if they have issues. Also, a correction of action report. So let's create it. I guess she'll tell us about, she has a corrective action reform that she'll give to the staff, and any correction that needed to be done. We have it to make sure everything is on point. Also, staff are required in regards to lateness, notify the district manager about lateness arrival or any unexpected schedule unchanged via email or text. So if there's an emergency or you won't be able, maybe the next day or it's late, text her, let her know she won't be there on time so she could go. Because sometimes Celeste works past X amount, so she comes in late because she gets paid a base. She can work 80 hours, get paid 60 hours. So she gets to come a little later or she gets to go a little earlier. So we work it like that. As you know, the employees are union. So we heard today too, that's gonna be in her report, hopefully, that we would have to start paying either comp time or overtime, but we have to emphasize it before. We can't turn around and say, well, tomorrow is a committee meeting and you gotta go there. They could say, no, because we didn't give them ample time. Or we could say, you're gonna do, we'll give them a comp time. And they also get, I think, 3 hours paid meal past the hours that they work. So that's money that's coming out of our budget. So we want to make sure we don't the budget, because we're a small agency, but we do a lot. Also on the 6th, that day, from 5:30, that's why I brought my pen. I had told everybody before, we went to the New York City Commission to straighten local democracy, a public hearing with government accountability. And I testified, and so did Celeste. So she was writing her report and I lent her my pen and it ran out of ink. I don't know what she wrote. She must have wrote a 15-page thing. I was like, you owe me a pen. So there I testified. I said, my name is Robert Camacho. I'm the chair of CB4 Brooklyn, which I represent Bushwick. I have been on the board for over 30 years and served my community. If you know anything about Bushwick, you know we have a lot going on, and I'm here to speak specifically about the community boards. Increased base
funding for community boards. The board needs funding to keep and hire staff as needed. We currently have a district manager, one full-time community coordinator, and a part-time coordinator. Additional funds would allow us to plan for staff needs and in present and in future, because we don't know what can happen. And then we want members required to attend one meeting before they are appointed. I said, that's right. I agree. Maybe we have to know what they are getting into before they join the board. Because a lot of times, a lot of people come here and they got a different agenda and different idea of what they want to do. It's not what you want to do, it's what you want to do for us. How are we going to do it? With us, together. Another thing that was important, supporting functions of community board into one entity. The agency that are mandate to support the boards are either mayoral or under the borough president's office. When they do not like the community board or do not consider us priority, it is difficult for us to do our job. Meaning, we got to address to OMB, borough president's office, CEC, and then we got to follow all the rules in the law. So one governs one. If we do one, you're in violation because you got to go to here. So you can't do that because you got to go see Joe. And this will go. And between all of them, they don't make a full deck of cards. So we're law. So I said, I am here to say, giving the board, right, real quick, giving the board resources we need to do what we have to do. It is truly that those recommendations do not require charter revision. However, people should know that with politics are getting in the way of democracy. So we really need to get this community and get the powers and teeth to make sure that we can serve city agencies. And that's exactly what I testified on behalf of this board. Thank you. Also, let me real quick, executive board meeting, we met, there was a recommendation. I'll speak on it on that time. We met on Zoom with the brief. We're starting all over with CB3 and CB4 on Broadway. What's going on with Broadway? You know, we need lights. We need the street fixed. Broadway looks like we're still in the 70s. So we want to make sure, since you know that CB3 across the street, CB4 over here, and transit up there. So we want to make sure we get lights, we get our street fixed, and make it lively and bright. Like it used to be, like Knickerbocker, pumping with businesses and stuff. Not nightlight and dirty the place up when we wake up. There's garbage all over the place and nobody's accountable. So we're starting to talk with that. We met with Riseboro. There's a list of things that they've been doing. We're going to meet with the CEO in regards to some of the apartments and some of the issues that are going on. Also, community partners. I was there for 22 Central. I think our educational committee chair, Virgie Jones, was also there. Maybe she'll speak up on it. She didn't leave. I also went to the A3 precinct. Go to the A3 precinct council. Thank you, Captain. Thank you, Brooklyn North. The muster room is named after Barbara Smith. There's a big giant plaque there. She dedicated all her life to Bushwick. All her life. Even in her dying days, she was still calling and telling us, with cancer, not speaking, still, this is what I need to get done. This is what I want. And it's a good thing to have people that put a lot of stakes in this community. I'm gonna miss it because she was always part of my life. Always talking, always being happy, and I'm gonna miss her. I love her so much. It's sad, but and then on Wednesday the 21st, I went to the clergy. So we all gotta get some. I go to A3 and I see all the clergies. I get baptized. Everything I do bad during the week, they pray for me. I'm happy for them, and we gotta help them. We gotta help our churches. We really have to help our churches. Our churches on Bushwick Avenue are closing down. We need to work with our churches and bring I don't care what denomination you're from, whatever you believe in. I don't care if you believe in elves, we all need something. So we gotta get these churches back on tune and bring the families back home. Because what they're building on these things, people know how to get away with some of the stuff and remove these landmarks, buildings that are there. So we really gotta focus on them. And I'm gonna work with them to see if we could do a coalition of pastors and ministers to make sure that if one hurts, they all hurt, and make sure that we can take care of them and help them out. Churches, me and Celeste went, it's supposed to be down, to find out, got some more information about that. But that church serves 2,000 families of food a day. 2,000 families. The line is 4 or 5 blocks. And that church is closing down. So we really need to take care of it. And also, I went to the school, captain, to school. They had a resource fair right there on Harmon. And the young kid, when you walk into the school, the reason why I'm saying, I hope y'all give me time. This kid is about 9 years old. He was dressed as Abraham Lincoln. He had a button in his hand. You walk up to him and you press the button. And he read the Lincoln Constitution. I couldn't believe he read all this. 87 years. He actually was there like a machine talking to you and read all this. Then we had the skating black girl. What's her name? She does you press the button on her, and she did a speech. I was like, wow, I couldn't believe how these kids were reading all those things and like, wow. And then I did another one and they were all reading how everything was. So I told them, I'm gonna invite them over here and I want all of you guys to press the button and we're gonna listen to him, encourage him to continue to grow and learn. And that's how he become to be leaders in this community, young kids like that. So I went there and today we also had a meeting with Borough Hall with a budget. So Celeste will fill us in on that, and that is it. Oh, very important, very important, very important. ACE integration, the daycare that's on Woodbine and Broadway. They did not get funding and the teachers didn't get paid. So I called the Congresswoman's office. They gave the money, DOE gave the money, but not sufficient money. Just gave them a little bit just to keep them quiet. So that's another daycare center that's closing, might close down. They said in June, because DOE is not releasing the funds and the union is saying, if you ain't paying us, we're not working. And the teachers are leaving and our kids are getting stuck. Also, the daycare that's on Bushwick and between what is it? No, not on Woodbine, another. So we really, our churches, our daycare centers, and our schools. So we really need to work hard.
Before questions, I just want to invite board members. You can now help yourself to a meal. Once board members have gotten their meal, everyone else is welcome to also help themselves. But there's some food in the back for dinner this evening. Please be quiet because we will be taking questions for the chair's report.
Felix Ceballos, CB4. The church you say is closing down, and the service is for 2,000 people a day, and we living a very hard time now. A lot of people, they can apply to go to the supermarket. My question is, we like a board, what we can do for open that church again? Thank you.
Well, as you know, there is a board and there is a dais. And the dais required to be closed
and supersedes the board. And they're planning to close it. And it's state landmark. Remember, that church is state landmark. It's not city landmark. So, Metro,
It's Bushwick United Methodist Church. All of our mics don't seem to be working. So the short version of this, if folks can hear me on Zoom, I hope so. We just want to make sure that the church, the trustees in particular, have access to the information that they will need to navigate this. I've done my best to ensure that they've been connected to the mayor's office of faith-based and community partnerships. It is unclear right now if they want help. I want to be very clear about that. So there isn't someone actively leading any type of effort to prevent the closure. I have, however, been communicating with community stakeholders that have long been involved with this space, helping with the food pantry, helping with other activities, not necessarily parishioners, but they have been trying to help the trustees navigate this. I spoke with the president of the trustees. She received the information. But again, it's unclear what steps they are going to take. The mayor's office did provide some guidance. I also spoke to the district attorney's office, so they are ready. And there's additional information that we provided from the Attorney General's office because they have a faith-based and charities bureau. If any sale were to occur, we don't know if it's going to be sold. We just know that it's closing. We don't have any more information than that as of right now. But we've done our best to connect them to resources and pass along the information. And that's the extent to what the board can do at this point.
Super quick question. Board member CB4 Zachary Hendrickson. You mentioned the Department of Health building and the open community room. Do you have the exact details on when that will be open or who to be in contact with to book that space?
So we don't have contact information for right now, but we can get it in time for hopefully the next meeting to see what we can. It's not, so I want to be clear, that's something we are planning to propose. It's not necessarily something that's readily available.
Okay.
And so we can talk to them and see if they're able to provide a contact.
Got it. Okay. Thanks so much for clarification.
Celeste, CB4, Z.
Go ahead.
Hi, we are in the process right now to work those details. So this will be sidebar. I will be more happy to get in contact with CB4 on the sites and everything for 335 Central.
Thank you, Z. Do you want to just share your other affiliations so folks that don't know can know? Yeah.
Yes, I apologize. This is Z Niveau from the New York City Department of Health. That happens to be one of our buildings, and it's actually one of the buildings I'm part of and working in Bushwick community as well as a health representative. So we're happy that it's open. I will be making another tour because we need to see the interior. The exterior, they did a wonderful job, but we need to now work inside itself. So that's another topic for conversation with the community, with CB4. So now I'm switching hats again.
Thank you, Z.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. Any other questions for Mr. Camacho's report? Going once, going twice. I don't see any hands on Zoom. We will now close and move on to the introduction of elected officials and representatives. If you're on Zoom, please raise your hand. In person, please come up to the microphone.
Hello, good evening. I'm Fran from Councilmember Nurse's Office, 718-642-8664, and we're at 56 Pennsylvania Avenue.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Kimber Vega from Councilmember Jennifer Gutierrez's office. Our phone number is 718-963-3141, and our office is at 244 Union Ave.
Hi, I'm Lacey Tauber from Brooklyn Borough President Reynoso's office. My number is 718-802-3894, and we are at Brooklyn Borough Hall.
Hi, everyone. My name is Maria Valdez from the Office of Senator Julia Salazar. Phone number is 718-573-1726, and we're located at 212 Evergreen Avenue.
Go ahead, Debbie.
My name is Deborah Villanueva. I'm from Assemblywoman Marissa Davila's office. Number is 718-443-1205. Address is 673 Hart Street.
Thank you. I see no other hands. No one else is lined up in person. We will move on now to the introduction of agency, community-based organization, and business reps. So any agencies, community-based organizations, and businesses, please come up to the mic if you're here in person. If you're on Zoom, please raise your hand. I see no one moving in person. I see no hands on Zoom. We will keep it moving, and we will move on now to the 8-3 Precinct Commanding Officer Report. Deputy Inspector David Poggioli.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the invite, as always, to join everybody here today. I want to start off in welcoming our new board members. It's good to see just the continued community engagement here in Bushwick. So to start, just to kind of reiterate what Mr. Camacho had brought up about Barbara. And if you recall, you know, last year, right, we always made it a point to mention her name in this forum, right? Just to keep her spirits high and let her know that we were always thinking about her. And then take that forward to, you know, her untimely passing after her long sickness, and just the services that we all stood out there together as a community and honored her for her service as our community council president and just a staple and a figurehead within this Bushwick community. And then to see that continuing forward, and, you know, we speak about carrying forward her legacy through our own actions, and to see that plaque put upon the pillar yesterday within the precinct, and really like just how unique of occurrence that is, that within this police precinct, right? Everybody has to remember there's about 77 police precincts within the city of New York. And this room, this muster room where our officers gather every day before they deploy out into the Bushwick streets, right, into our community to keep us all safe. This room is now redesignated and named the Barbara Smith Memorial Muster Room. And I do encourage everyone to come by and actually see the plaque, because it's not just a small plaque that, you know, with a name over the door. Like, this is a substantial plaque. Her face is on it. It has her image, you know, just words regarding her service to the community. It was a tremendous gesture on behalf of the borough commander, you know, Assistant Chief Scott Henderson. And just, you know, we had another packed house last night. Barbara's family joined us. We had our elected officials there. Obviously, Mr. Camacho was there. Celeste joined us as well. The superintendent from District 32 made her way into the building. Just a tremendous turnout, just continuing. And it's just so, you know, refreshing that we continue to keep true to what we said that day by continuing to honor her legacy. So I'd like to start off, before I get into some of the crime figures this evening, and just speak about the assignment of 7 additional police officers to the 83rd precinct out of this most recent academy class. So these 7 officers now are going to be coupled with the 8 that came out several months before them. So we now have 15 new police officers assigned to our field training unit. Now, these officers are going to be assigned to foot posts within the community. There's going to be 7-day-a-week coverage. You know, they're going to be alternating days off between Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, Thursday. They're going to be working 5:30 in the evening to 2 in the morning, and they're actually going to be working extended hours until 4 in the morning on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday evenings. And they're going to be deployed for some of the areas that we maybe haven't traditionally seen some footposts in this community, along Menahan Street, Central Avenue, Myrtle Avenue, Wyckoff Avenue, and then Knickerbocker, pretty much running from Menahan Street all the way down to Decatur Street. It's going to help our presence along the parks, right? We'll have 2 officers assigned outside of Bushwick Playground. You're going to have 2 officers assigned outside of Irving Square Park. So it's just going to help us continue to deal with some of the conditions we see in the parks, some of those quality of life issues. But most importantly, and this is obviously going to be the 3rd time I'm saying this now, I said it last night at our community council meeting. I said it this morning at our clergy council meeting, and I'll reiterate it here again tonight. You know, we all have to keep in mind, like, these are brand new officers, literally a week or so out of the police academy, 22, 23 years old, really taking their first steps in what's going to be a long and successful law enforcement career. But what do we need out of these new officers? We need them to be effective, correct? We need them to be vigilant, and most importantly, we need them to be safe. And what I ask, from each form, like it really goes such a long way, right? As you leave your residence, or you may leave, your commercial business that you're working along some of those commercial quarters that we're going to have these officers assigned to, and just to go out and extend that hand and say, I'm so and so, I reside right here. Like, think about what that does for a brand new police officer who's, maybe their first time in Bushwick, maybe their first, obviously first time being a police officer. We want them to feel that ownership, right? For what they're doing actually matters out there. And what better way to kind of build and develop that inherent responsibility to keep us all safe by knowing who they're out there protecting. So please, if you see them, extend that hand. My instruction to them is obviously the same as they make their way through the parks, as they make their way up, Myrtle Avenue, where we have some of our businesses, or Wyckoff Avenue as well. My instruction is the same, like go in, stop in, introduce yourself to the business owners, let them know that you're out here. This is what your post cover, whether it's like Wyckoff Street from Grove to Linden, or on Central Avenue from Grove to Woodbine Street, right? Menahan from, the front of 120, 140, and 160 Menahan. I just feel like it just puts them in the best position to be successful, because that's what we need, right? We need effective, vigilant, and safe police officers out there. So thank you for that. Just to hit some crime numbers very, very, very briefly, because I know you guys have a long agenda. So we are continuing our downward trend within this community in regards to reported index crimes. We now sit at about a 29% decrease from where we were in 2024. And if you remember, when we came here in April, we spoke about the goal of kind of achieving that raw number decrease of 100, right? 100 less victims. So we bypassed those expectations. I told you we're about 125 when we reached our April meeting. And now, as of this past week, we eclipsed 200. So we're looking at 200 less victims within Bushwick over the first 5 months of the year. And we're continuing to work. Citywide, out of 77 precincts, we now sit in the top 5 of the largest crime decreases within the city of New York. And what does that really allow us to do? As those dots on the map really continue to cluster and minimize, it really just helps us refocus our efforts on where our officers are needed most. And it's kind of what laid the foundation for where we're going to be deploying these newly assigned officers within the community over the summer months. As always, is there areas that we could all improve on? Absolutely. And that's why there's this engagement. And that's why it's my job to bring to forums such as this, information. What can we all do better? What have we seen somewhat of an uptick in recently? Auto-related crimes, not solely just larcenies of vehicles, right? Automobile theft, but another condition we've dealt with previously with thefts from motor vehicles, right? Auto breaks, car breaks. So in just analyzing some of the recent data in regards to, let's start with the larceny of motor vehicles, actual auto thefts. We've, obtained recent video surveillance of individuals doing what? People leaving their sunroofs open, and individuals taking advantage of maybe that small gap with the car not being fully secured, prying open that sunroof, hopping in the sunroof, and then driving off with the vehicle. So something we could keep in mind, right? We want that sunroof closed. We want that interior portion, right, that within the roof of the vehicle to be closed as well. Now, as regards to auto breaks, theft of vehicles, again, what do we see? We see opportunity-driven events where someone has left a knapsack, a purse, possibly electronics, visible within the vehicle. And what do we ask? We have to take the message here, what we speak about in this room, we always speak about that, bringing it back out into large scale into the community. And all we ask is that, let's not leave that visible property within the car. Let's bring the person, the knapsack. Ideally, we want you to bring it into the house at the end of each day. if not the house, the trunk, you know, you may leave that book bag in the back seat because you know it's empty and there's nothing in, so you're not really thinking about that, right? But that opportunist who's walking down, you know, maybe a desolate, dimly lit street, looks into the rear of the vehicle, sees the book bag and rolls the dice and may break the window or pull the door handle just for the sake of removing it and hoping that they, you know, there was something of value in there. You know, like that person who's committing that crime only sees what's present, is not obviously fully understanding what's within the bag. We may personally know that, but they don't. So small kind of like just behavior changes will continue those crime decreases. You know, what's the goal? And the goal, I said this morning, like we sit in the top 5, but I want to come in front of everybody again and say at some point we sit in the top 3 and so on and so forth, because it's just a collective success of what we all do, right? Never just the success of the police department, but the success of the Bushwick community as a whole. I thank you for your time this evening, and I'll open it up for any questions.
Hello, hello. My name's Alan Gamboa. I'm a newly appointed Community Board 4 member. And
Congratulations.
thank you very much. Thanks for welcoming me, everyone. I have a question about a recently announced policy from Commissioner Tisch that came out in late April, where e-bike riders and some regular cyclists are being issued criminal summons rather than traffic violations.
Mhm.
Are you familiar with the policy? I'm
Yeah, somewhat. Yep.
So I would just like to know a bit more if there's anything you can tell us. I don't want to get too crazy with numbers, but I did look into some of the numbers from NYC Open Data. And according to the NYPD's own statistics, in 2024, 37 pedestrians were injured by e-bike collisions out of a total of 9,600 pedestrians injured overall. So that was a total of 0.4% injured by e-bike riders, 0.4%, not even 0.5%. In the first 3 months of 2025, there was exactly 1 reported e-bike crash that was resulted in an injury out of a total of 2,200. So now we're talking about 0.04% of crashes being caused by e-bikes. So I'm curious if there's anything you can tell us about this new policy, how long it might be in effect, and if it is something the 83rd Precinct has been involved in, and if it's really the best use of our limited resources to be focusing on this group that is causing, actually, despite some popular perceptions, a very tiny amount of actual injuries. Thank you.
So what I could say to that in regards to like some of the e-bike stuff, right? Like, let's just bring it forward to conditions and issues that have been brought up in community forums, right? And not only just not with bicycles, but for e-bikes, right? There's sometimes we'll gather throughout traffic division, things to that effect, right? On Broadway specifically, right? Coming off of Flushing and working southbound and northbound, you know, some of the e-bike operators against traffic and things like that. And what does it lead to complaints of, right? When you have the person getting ready to cross the street and so on and so forth, they look left and look right, and then it brings those community complaints to form. So I think this is just a measure to start really addressing some of those community complaints you hear in regards to the bicyclist itself. You know, and I think that's really what you see as a whole. Like anytime there's, you know, even going to we spoke about last time before, like the Q team and the quality of life team, it's all measures that are enacted based upon what the community brings as issues to the department. That's really how they divide their strategies, because they want to show a responsiveness. And I get what you're saying with the figures and things like that, but when there are people that are advocating for some changes or addressing conditions that are out there, like, yeah, the department does have a responsibility to respond to all people, right? It can't be selective in that regard.
Hi, Pablo Rivera, board member. I don't have a question, just want to piggyback on what member here said. I haven't read the statistics, right? And they seem a little too nice. My own experience with these bikes is that it's really, at times, it's really reckless, and they put other people in danger, including kids when they come out from schools, the little ones going from the school to the daycare. I've seen near accident. I've seen them hit kids. On Gates, I had this girl cut me off. I honked the horn. It was a summer. I had my window down. It was because I honked the horn. She spit at me through the window. So there's little things like that that maybe doesn't make the survey. Okay, I had my granddaughter one time almost got run over in front of the house. Another time, another bicyclist, one of my grandkids opened the gate, and by a miracle of God, that bicyclist didn't get hurt, but right there on the street. And another thing, I've been here for a long time, Robert. You know, from 80s, 70s. So we are a little street smart. I've seen drug deliveries being done on these bikes. I saw Grand Street, that, you know, PSAL was permitting them because the field is under construction. The umpire that was about to umpire the game was buying drugs of an e-biker, came on an e-biker. So these are things that maybe don't get reported, don't get seen. I am concerned like you are. I am, because there has to be a fairness. But I just wanted to put the other side of the coin here.
I just think with everything, right? There has to be a balance, right? It's not like, again, selective, because, right, something like this gets brought up in a forum, and what is this gentleman or whoever at the time brings it up, right? That they want to see some sort of responsiveness. So as long as it's done impartially, right, and it does to help correct conditions that people see, it's not just blanketed unnecessary enforcement at times. It's to alleviate issues that are brought up. It's done impartially. It's done in a balanced and fair approach. And then I think that that's a fair compromise for all. But if there's like a specific occurrence that, you know, you had questions and got like a specific enforcement occurrence that maybe, you know, a colleague or a resident that was subject to, and that's something, you know, you'd like to have a conversation with afterwards. Obviously, you everybody knows that. I'm more than willing to do that. But you know, I didn't ask him to ask that question, but I think it kind of just brings up, right? Like, you have to show responsiveness to all.
My name is Yarison. I'm newly appointed. Two questions. Thank you. Two questions for you. Does the city distinguish between bicycles, electric bikes, and other mode of transportations? And are there any particular hotspots when it comes to crime in Bushwick that we should be aware of?
So let me hit the second one because you asked it first. I would just speak to what I originally brought up about, like, that's what I'm seeing right now. Like, when I look down, in regards to currently, definitely automobile thefts from motor vehicles, and then speaking with how we're going to deploy our newly assigned officers, right, along some of those streets around there. Yeah, you know, there was some violence along some of those areas earlier in the year, and we're just looking to continue to stabilize. You know, we've seen stabilization, but of course, the additional deployment of these foot posters are going to continue that stabilization. Now, to the first question you asked, yeah, absolutely. Like, each type of, you know, bicyclist, e-bike, and then once you get into, you know, some of the gas-powered mopeds, everything falls under a different set of requirements to be out there on the road. It's something we highlight very often on social media as well. We'll break it down into the type of, you know, conveyance that you're operating and what the requirements are to operate that vehicle legally on a New York City street. You're welcome.
Hi, Inspector Ben Tucker. I'm a board member. So I was very encouraged to hear you talk about the sending the new officers over to enforce the quality of life over at Irving Square Park and Bushwick Playground.
Yeah.
I'm curious if you can speak a little bit to some of the issues that we've been facing in our parks, and also specifically off-leash dogs. And I think in particular, Maria Hernandez Park, Green Central Knoll, which are parks that you didn't mention. So are there officers already on patrol there? Is it something where you'd be able to send the new patrol to there? And if you can speak specifically to some of those quality of life issues.
Yeah. So, and I forgot when I mentioned this list. I don't know if it was in it was actually on the cabinet meeting. So I really have to tip my cap to the Parks Department recently. You know, obviously, you know, every agency deals with staffing concerns. Their enforcement arm is limited at times, but they've been so responsive to some of the issues and concerns in Bushwick Parks that if it's not weekly, it's probably 3 out of 4 times on the weekends. They'll marry up with our NCOs, our special operations lieutenant, and they'll head out on Saturdays into those parks specifically. They'll go to Bushwick, they'll go to Maria Hernandez, they'll go to Green Central Knoll, they'll go over to Tiger Playground. They went over to Boylan Park, and they just, you know, join along with us, right? They're able to specifically write some type of enforcement summonses related to those parks rules and regulations. And it's been such a tremendous help, right? So it kind of like splits the command in half, where we'll have foot post on one side, and then we'll couple that foot post deployment with our partnering with the Parks Department. And we're slated again to go out there this Saturday at 3:00. You know, listen, everybody who's here is very familiar with what the interior of the parks look like on the weekends. They're very populated. There's a lot of everything going on in these parks, but to just have that additional assistance from the Parks Department, like I said, almost on a weekly basis, like it's a tremendous help. It's a tremendous help. And we're going to continue that approach as we make our ways through the summer. You know, they'll come out 3-4 hours on a Saturday, and they're scheduled again to come out here this Saturday at 3:00 and tag along with our NCOs. We'll be up in Maria Hernandez again. You know, we did some work with the Department of Health last week along Knickerbocker Avenue. We went back up to Wyckoff Avenue and kind of just like we spoke about, you know, a couple months ago, the work we did with the food trucks, and now we brought them back up, right? Just to continue, because we understand that, right, that initial approach is tremendous, but it's the maintenance of the condition to keep them stabilized. But they've been real good. Yeah, thank you for that. 3.
Hello, Inspector. Zachary Hendrickson, board member. Really appreciate your comments and answering our questions. I wanted to pick back up on the questions raised by Alan here. Really just to frame for everyone on the board, the question isn't whether or not we are concerned about people's safety in the streets. And with all due respect, I know this is not your policy, you did not create this, but right, this being a public forum, I think it's important also that this is an opportunity to raise feedback back up to the higher ups. The question really that whether or not you believe that cyclists and e-bikers should be treated differently under the law, because right, like as my understanding is like this is now changing from getting a traffic ticket to getting a criminal summons where you have to go appear in court, versus my understanding this is somewhat different from cars where it's still traffic tickets. And that's what I'm looking for clarification on, is like if cars that run red lights and do these sorts of things are still getting traffic tickets, which is my understanding, and again, I might be wrong.
Yeah.
Then why are we having an exception for bicyclists, like a half to a quarter of the size? That to me seems like it's not impartial, but rather targeted enforcement against a certain group of people.
So just specific to that, there are sections of the VTL law that are solely enforceable through criminal court summonses, which are applied to motorists as well. You could look up, I think it's 1212, the reckless driving. That's a VTL. There's some TLC things regarding vehicles that are reportable to the criminal court summonses. So I wouldn't agree with the point that it's just for cyclists, right? Because if they're citing the vehicle and traffic law that's applicable to criminal court summonses, obviously all motorists, right? All those that operate on the road would be subjected to that same type of enforcement. Yeah.
3 on Zoom. Ms. Davis?
Good evening, Deputy Inspector.
Good evening, Alvina.
Could you mention about the hydrant enforcement that's been going on?
Yep, absolutely. In regards to the cop of the month story?
Yes, sir.
Okay. She likes this story. So she does. She keeps making me tell it. So, and again, where does hydrant, I mean, obviously we all know where hydrant enforcement comes from, but think about how many people have raised their hand in this room and spoke about their concerns of vehicles parked upon hydrants, right? And how that hinders fire department responses and just that overall perception of safety, right? If you own a home on a residential street and you want a hydrant there, obviously you don't want that hydrant blocked, right? Because God forbid there's a fire on the block or things like that, that fire department has to access that hydrant. So what do? Like, to show that responsiveness, we bring that message back that we garner here, and we bring it back into the body of the command, and we look them to now go out and make focus on that. So we awarded our Cop of the Month at the community council meeting from a enforcement action that took place on April 4th, about 2:00 in the afternoon, on a vehicle that was parked on a hydrant opposite a school. Now, beyond that, right? Like, okay, we have a vehicle parked on a hydrant. Our neighborhood safety team officers, right? Those are some of our officers that work in the later hours, the ones with the vest on the outside and so on and so forth. In addition to being blocked on the hydrant, the vehicle that was stationary there on the hydrant happened to be used in a home invasion robbery within Bushwick the night before. So now that draws their attention to this vehicle, right? They see that vehicle blocked on a hydrant. They see that vehicle that really strongly resembles the car that was used in a home invasion robbery within the Bushwick community the prior night. So now they get out on the vehicles, they start to engage the occupants. As they're speaking to the occupants of the vehicle, what do they decipher? That one of the items that was stolen in the home invasion robbery was visible within the rear seat of the car. So that allows what? That allows that interaction to progress, right? Because now that vehicle is in possession of stolen property. Those occupants of said vehicle are in possession of that stolen property within the car. They have those occupants exit the vehicle, and lo and behold, one of the occupants is armed with a loaded .25 caliber firearm. So just think about something small, something so small that is brought up. And it's a thank to somebody in here who chose to raise their hand and say, hey, like, we see these block hydrants. Maybe we could have our officers focus on that a little further. And that interaction turns into a vehicle that was used in a home invasion robbery that's in possession of stolen property from the home invasion robbery, which furthers to the recovery of another firearm off the Bushwick streets. And that's what I'm saying. Like, when that information exchange is continuous, when I stand in front of everybody and speak about a 29% crime decrease, that's a collective win for all of us, right? It's not the agency's successes, it's the neighborhood successes.
All right, we have another, one more. Sabrina Lewis.
Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
So what I want to know is, what are we going to do with the parks? So I have kids, and normally I go to Bushwick Park right here on Putnam and Irving. I live in the area.
Yeah.
And it's very disturbing when I have to deal sometimes with people inebriated in the park. The vendors there, they're selling food, selling drinks on the side. I have kids running around. I got people peeing all over the place. The park one is not sanitary anymore. It stinks like whatever they're cooking, like oil and all that stuff. And that's just the park. And then it smells like piss all over the place. That's one. And then Myrtle Wyckoff has turned into a very unsanitary place. When you walk by, it's crazy with the amount of illegal street vendors that we have there. A lot of people selling stuff. Then what are we gonna do with all these vendors that aren't, vetted yet?
So we'll start with the parks, and I don't know if you had heard, but I kind of laid out some of the deployment for the summer, our engagement with the Parks Department, and what we've been doing on a weekly basis regarding various parks throughout Bushwick, specifically Bushwick Playground. How now with our summer deployment that we spoke about, that 5:30 in the evening start, coupled with the earlier deployment of our youth coordinations in the parks, like we've done a tremendous amount of enforcement and engagement in each of the parks, and to, let's not lose sight of, we continue to close that park, right? The police department still bears that responsibility, closing Bushwick Playground every night at 9 o'clock and Maria Hernandez every night at 10 o'clock, and then reopening said parks at 6 o'clock in the morning. So it's not only just the presence as the parks are open, but to ensuring, right, that we don't have those conditions on the overnight hours. Because if you remember last year, there was that stabbing that took place in the park in Bushwick Playground, that even though we were closing the parks, people were still cutting open the gate. You know, that's where we need to really kind of just look in. It's like, all right, if these parks are closed, if we're making the efforts to lock these parks, and now people are going to vandalize property to re-enter the park, you know, we all kind of got to look into a mirror with some of those just human basic decisions that are made. But we're going to continue our efforts. We are certainly continue our efforts. In regards to the vending conversation, why I spoke about, you know, some of the things on Wyckoff Avenue, why I spoke about bringing the Department of Health out to Knickerbocker, you know, we continue to field a tremendous amount of vending complaints, right? Especially along the Knickerbocker corridor, that Myrtle, Wyckoff. Obviously, you know, you're well aware that we share that with Queens and the 104 precinct. But as the complaints are brought to us, what do? We engage the Department of Sanitation, we engage the Department of Health, and we'll continue our efforts. But, you know, we welcome the vocalization of some of these issues as well as the one thing I always say, like, you know, if I'm contacted directly, like, obviously we're going to respond regardless of how we receive the complaint. But it is so very important to also use that 311 system for the issues that you see visible that you want to address, because not every 311 will roll through the police department, especially something such as vending, right? Where that's going to be routed out to the Department of Sanitation. And as those 311 calls are made, it then shows up on their radar, and then it will self-initiate a response from that agency as well. But we'll continue the work, absolutely.
Expect that we have one more on Zoom, and then we have one here, and then at the end, I'll take the last topic.
Happy New Evening, everyone. My name is Sabrina J. Lewis. I am a manager of our programs here at Haitian Centers Council. We're located at 1491 Broadway, and we're hiring. First, let me just say that we're hiring for outreach workers, health navigators, and case managers. We have many.
You could call the office, and we have a thing there. Could you answer just the inspector, because he has to leave, just your concern. Other than that, we'll give you time later on information.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that I was talking on behalf of the agency. My apologies.
No. Okay, we have.
Hi, Stephanie Anderson, Community Board 4.
Hi, Ms. Anderson. How are
Hey,
you?
Cap, how you doing? I want to say, isn't it illegal for electric bikes to drive on the sidewalk? And if it is, could we take a picture of their license plate?
Yeah,
Aren't they supposed to have license plates?
No, the electric bikes, no, they're not something, you know, that once, and that's why I pointed out to the gentleman over here that if you kind of review some of our social media postings, it really does break down at every level, like what the certain requirements are. But of course, yeah, it is illegal to ride an electric bike on a sidewalk. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
I just have two questions to ask you.
Okay.
One, when did it become illegal not to give a summons for them to go to court? Because if it's so that you guys are picking and choosing, then I want to get reimbursed. When I was 14, I got hit with a $250 summons riding my bike on the sidewalk. So let's be realistic about that. The people that just got here that are doing what they're doing and got away with it, and now that they're getting the summons, and guess what happened to me? If I didn't pay the summons, I had a bench warrant. And they came in my house and picked me up for riding a bicycle. I'll show you my disposition. I had to get a lawyer. 14 years old. I think that, yeah, we're in 2025. Everything changes, right? But guess what? People are out there committing crimes on bikes. Our seniors are getting robbed. They're going with those bikes and robbing people. I know someone in my block that parked the bike and robbed this person with the man. So when are we going to control, or when are we going to stop the narrative? Oh, wait a minute. Since it doesn't affect nobody's here family, it's all right. But when it affects someone's family and it hurts someone, then nobody wants to say nothing. So we really need to find out what is it that we want them to do and how we want to do it. This is why I'm saying being a leader is hard. I don't mind hearing these things, but what is the outcome out of it? If you look at the Department of Motor Vehicle and we have our state senators there, we need to change the law. Change the law. Yes, get them licensed, give them plates, let them ride around so I can identify the person that hit me or the person that I hit. Because all the time it's not reported. Because how you going to report somebody if they hit my car? Or if they run me over? What are they going to say? A green bike? Everybody got a green bike. Oh, it was a guy with a dog and a leash. Everybody got a dog and a leash. You can't identify who it is. So how am I going to report it? So it's not reported. So I can tell you tons of people that it doesn't in that survey that you got. So I don't like surveys. I want to deal with realistic and what's happening or whatever they put out. Just like I don't like his numbers neither. Because if one person died in Bushwick, that's a family. That's a problem. That's your family. That's your kid. Because back in the days when we would get shot and I was a young kid and people would shoot each other, that was somebody's family. It's all over. Change. Now we're no good. Now we no good. That's not true. You're right. It's not true. But we have to be the same way we are with people that don't want them. It's the same way we are with people that want them, and we want to work together. So that's the problem. If you want change, we got to do it together. And you have to listen. You have to listen to both sides. You can't play the people that are here and forget about the people that made this play. Because I'm going to fight for what I believe. I've been here all my life. All right? And that precinct was my second home on the weekend. I tell you, my brother's in there 50 years and he's still in Rikers Island. Tell me about, I'll bring him here and I'll tell you how it is. So don't tell me your stories and your ideas. I'm going to tell you the reality. We have to work together. We have to. More than ever. If we stay divided, we lose on a lot of things. So unless we stay together, all of us, and help our churches, help our schools, help the people that are here, that want to help, that want to create an environment but it has to be all of them. There are things that I don't like that we do, but yeah, we put them on a pillar. This man is here to address the questions. He's not your commissioner and he's not your mayor. He's here to help this community and what we want. He could only do what we tell him to do, and he got to go to his boss. Just like Celeste got to come to me. It's like everybody else. You got a boss, you can't do what you want to. You got to go to your boss. Your boss dictates to you what to do and not to do. But if the community fights and gets together, then we have no other place but to help them and work with them. That's what we're here for. But when we were killing each other and shooting each other, it was all right. So we got to work together. We got to stop this. And also, e-bikes, if you look at the DMV, it's against the law to ride. They don't get tickets when they go over 35 miles an hour, and I know they do. I rode bikes all my life. But I get a ticket if I'm driving 24 over 25 in the car. So here this guy with an e-bike, shit, he don't get a ticket, but I drive, I get 30. How is that fair? How is that fair? Because you want to get to point A to point B faster than you do with the car because I'm stuck. Think about that. Y'all looking at me, but think about that. And that's what we got to do. Thank you.
All right, I see no other hands and no one else on Zoom. Thank you, Deputy Inspector.
Thank you, everyone, for having me here tonight.
All right, we will move on now to agenda item number 5. Just a quick time check. It is 8:23 and it is now time for my report. I'm going to try to be as quick as possible. And good evening, everyone, and happy belated Mother's Day to all that observe. This month is also ALS Awareness Month, Anxiety Awareness Month, and Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. Thank you to all of the organizations, agencies, and community groups that raise awareness through programs and services in Bushwick. We are nearing the end of the meeting and fiscal year on June 30th. This is one of the busiest times of year in the board's office. We appreciate your patience and understanding as usual. I'd also like to echo Mr. Camacho and welcome the 17 new board members who were appointed earlier this month. Updated committee assignments are forthcoming. And I also just want to make a note, this was part of the executive board discussion, but there was a motion, a recommendation and a motion that was carried for the June meeting to also be a spring potluck. So for those that are familiar, the board usually has a potluck in December. We are happy to bring this to our June meeting. So if anyone is interested in contributing, please contact the board's office, let us know. Adelina will most likely be reaching out. Adelina also works in our office alongside Kim. Kim is walking over there. So we will be making a list. Please check with us before you bring something. We don't want to have 50 desserts and no main courses or like 25 salads and 1 plate of meat. So we will do the organizing and we welcome everyone who's able to be there. All right, and I've highlighted some of the meetings. I had a conversation with Fran from Councilmember Sandy Nurse's office. This goes back to Myrtle Wyckoff and unlicensed vending. I also had the same conversation with Kim from Councilmember Gutierrez's office. There is awareness. So even though we don't talk about it all the time, there are conversations that are happening in between these meetings about what we can do, what's happened so far, and how we can further address the concerns that are happening there. I also spoke with city planning on 2 different occasions. So 2 different units. One was the planning support team in reference to the board's district needs statement, getting prepared for budget consultations. I also spoke with our district planner, Kira Cuevas, about potential affordable housing opportunities. These are conversations that happen usually in the Economic Development and Housing and Land Use Committee. In between meetings, I will be following up on some of those items. And for more information on that, I encourage folks to, reach out, attend the committee meetings, or read some of the reports. You'd be surprised how much information is there. And then on Tuesday, April 22nd, I had a meeting with Eddie McChesney, an NYU student journalist. I will often get emails from a variety of folks. This one in particular was about the nightlife economy, and if anything has impacted Bushwick's nightlife economy, just with some of the changes, how are businesses doing? We had a brief conversation, and they may be publishing an article as it relates to that. And I also attended the Cornell Center for City Symposium for Climate Resilience. We all know that Bushwick has been affected recently. It used to just be coastal areas, but now we are no stranger to weather events and the impact and the flooding, a lot of conversations. And so that was a great opportunity to be in the same room as stakeholders, decision makers, and get more information on what the city and what other partners are doing in that space. And I have been having conversations with different churches. We have, different relationships. It depends on the church, but some will come to the board for assistance. There is a church that's now moving through a kitchen and fire suppression compliance situation, and they asked for our assistance reaching out to the Department of Buildings. I've also been speaking, as I referenced earlier, to folks that are affiliated with Bushwick United Methodist Church. It's ongoing. If we aren't able to provide a resource directly, we will make a referral. And some folks may be familiar with the Future of Community Boards Working Group. It's a working group that consists of district managers citywide. I continue to facilitate those meetings as needed. We discuss issues that are relevant to all community boards. Mr. Camacho mentioned the charter revision. This is the City Council's charter revision. The mayor also has a charter revision. If you are not familiar with these charter revisions, they may impact the ballot initiatives that we see when we vote. I highly recommend everyone take a look, familiarize yourself with those ballot initiatives before you get there to vote. It's very important. Sometimes you may think, you have an understanding of an issue, an item, and then the next thing you know, you're required to use a certain type of trash can to put your trash on the corner. So please be informed. Also, local law 29, there was an agency training. The board, as are all city agencies, are required to do voter turnout, voter registration. We have a special form that we're mandated. We are supposed to prepare a report that entails how we are increasing voter registration and forwarding those efforts. And let's see, on Tuesday, May 13th, I attended the Borough Service Cabinet meeting. There was a presentation by the U.S. Department of Justice. This was specifically for the 9/11 Victims Compensation Fund. Collective bargaining agreement discussion for district managers was rescheduled. I'll get to that shortly. I also met with Ben Solitaire from the Civic Engagement Commission. As folks may know, part of their mandate, which is very broad, we heard about the participatory budget part of it earlier this evening. They also are mandated to provide community boards with support. That may look like training, that may look like other initiatives. And this was a question about how they can spend some of their money before the end of the fiscal year to support the community boards. There are ongoing conversations about a term limit project. Some of the borough presidents may work together to create a resource for all community board members, for all community boards. There are also discussions about other types of resources. And the same day, I attended a Bushwick Historic Preservation Association meeting. For those that don't know, the BHPA has been leading the charge on preservation efforts in Bushwick. They are hoping to get certain parts of the neighborhood part of a statewide district. So the state level, Mr. Camacho mentioned this for one of the churches earlier. It is not the same as the city. City designation is much harder to come by, but with the state designation for historic preservation, you do get a tax credit. There's a tax incentive. So I highly recommend folks that may live in historic buildings, in particular those that are on Bushwick Avenue. If you have questions, you can reach out to the office. You can do your own research, and I hope to have more to share in the future. And the District Service Cabinet, again, just want to thank all of the agencies and offices that attend. They're robust conversations. We are very fortunate to have strong agency partners. And on Thursday, May 15th, there was a 2031 Eastern Parkway Community Space meeting. For those that remember, we heard from a project presenter about a BSA variance application. And part of that project, there was concerns because they were originally proposing what I believe was a 12 or 13-story building. They asked to go up to 20 to increase the amount of affordability. There were concerns from stakeholders on the block. Part of the commitment was working with the community to provide other space. And so they're continuing those conversations. It's unclear how those spaces will be funded, but they had a very preliminary meeting. Want to thank the council member's office, Councilmember Sandy Nurse's office for coordinating, and we look forward to learning more in the future. And let's see, then yesterday, I was a part of a Con Edison summer prep meeting. We know that often during the summer, there's an increase in the demand for electric supply. They provided a very comprehensive presentation on what to do if there are any power emergencies. So if folks do have issues, there's a way to contact Con Edison directly. If you have issues reaching Con Edison, you can always contact the community board office as well. And then, as Mr. Camacho mentioned earlier, there was a collective bargaining agreement discussion with the borough president's office today. The director of human resources provided an overview. And to clarify some of what Mr. Camacho was saying earlier, as a district manager, I get flex time. I do not get overtime. So if I work, I get an annual salary of 35 hours per week. But if I work over 35 hours, I won't be compensated. However, what I can do and what I usually do is I take some of that time in the morning. I will come in later, just so I'm not working 50, 60. It's unhealthy hours. Not every district manager does that. I've learned how to set boundaries to be able to continue serving this community. And the staff, they receive comp time. So whenever Kim is here or Adelina attends a meeting beyond their regular hours, they can put in a request to get time in the future. They have a period, I think it's within either 3 to 6 months. They have a time bank that they can accrue. They use that time. It is not paid time, but it's time that they can take off whenever they would like to request it. And let's see. Yeah, and the reasoning for that, I am non-union and the staff are union. And that concludes my report. Thank you, everyone. And we'll move straight into committee reports, starting with arts, culture, technology. Zach, you're up.
Yep, that's all right. Zach is here with my arts, culture, technology committee report. I just want to say, there's a lot to get through, but I would encourage everyone. I'm not going to read everything. I would encourage to read the report that I believe is an attachment in your email. Is that correct? Cool, great. So the main thing that was on the topic for our meeting was that, which we met on Thursday, May 15th last week. So this was a quick turnaround. But the Mayor's Office of Technology and Information has put out at the end of April a request for information, essentially. So this is a pre-step to a request for proposals, if we're familiar with that. Basically looking for committee input on a new city infrastructure project the mayor's office is looking to undertake. That would be, if we're all familiar with the Link NYC kiosks with the screens, basically it's kind of like that, but the city wants to do something new and different that is mostly focused on expanding free Wi-Fi access to communities all across New York City. And so they're requesting basically feedback on what features we felt like these kiosks should have. They had a list of suggestions, but also how we could make the structures accessible to people with disabilities, how we can make the structures resilient to storms, and like general design, what we should think of. So we had a really robust discussion. This was the primary point of what we talked about. And I'm going to, in general, kind of give the high-level overview. And it is a recommendation that we need to vote on tonight because there is a deadline of May 30th for feedback to go to the OTI. So if we don't submit anything officially tonight, we just won't have feedback. So I'm sorry to put you all under pressure like that, but this was the only meeting that we had the option to do this. So here we are. In general, the Arts, Culture, Technology Committee supported all the recommendations made by OTI for basic functionality. That included free Wi-Fi networks. It included a bunch of other different things. But one thing they were interested in was that each of these kiosks should have the ability to charge electric vehicles. And our committee felt like that was not something we were interested in. Supporting primarily because in a lot of low-income neighborhoods, the rate at which people like actually own brand new electric vehicles is low, and also it's going to raise the cost. So if the real purpose of these is to actually deliver free Wi-Fi to neighborhoods, why are we going to run up the cost on all these kiosks so that people can charge their electric vehicles? It just didn't seem like what the priority should be. But some things that were really important to our committee. First and foremost, we want any new piece of public infrastructure that's going to be taking up room on our sidewalks, taking up room potentially in parks or plazas or other open spaces. This shouldn't be just something that we look at and we passively receive Wi-Fi from. If it's going to take up public space, then it should add to public space. So we want there to be seating for people to congregate around it. It should be able to it's just like the Link kiosks or different from the Link kiosks where if someone's trying to use the phone feature or whatever, only one person at a time can use it. Only one person at a time can charge their device. We want this to be something that's accessible to multiple people to use at a time. So it's something that's about inviting community to come together around this new piece of city infrastructure. That was really important. I promise I will move quickly, but like I said, there is a lot to get through. We also talked a lot about accessibility. We really believe that these kiosks should include micro mobility charging. This was something recommended by OTI, basically allowing people to charge their electric wheelchairs if that's something that they have. We felt like we were in support of that rather than electric vehicle charging. We also strongly recommended that all kiosks be designed in compliance with ADA or Americans with Disability Act standards. And they should prioritize installing these on streets where there already exist accessible ramps at the intersections so that people can actually reach them. There should be text-to-speech interface for people with limited sight, like where it reads to you. And all of the emergency buttons should actually be buttons and not a touch screen. So if you're trying to call 911 or call 311, you can actually feel and touch the button and you're not trying to rely on a tap screen that you can't actually see. Okay, going back to seating, one thing that we talked about as a committee was that as we're thinking about seating, some of you are probably familiar with like you go to a park or you go to many other public spaces, there'll be huge benches and like every foot or two, there's a big bar in between. And if you're someone who's a little bit larger or if you're someone who has, other forms of mobility needs, this type of approach to architecture, sometimes called hostile architecture, is actually not only bad for people because it reduces how many people can sit, but also it's a big problem for people of different sizes and different mobility needs. And so we included in our recommendations that we implore OTI to reject any kiosk designs that feature hostile or anti-homeless architecture, such as dividing bars to break up the proposed seating, leaning bars, if you've seen those replacements for benches in the subways that everybody hates, so on and so forth. If we don't name these things, they're gonna do it. So it's important that we say this is not what our community believes in. And I want to flag, there's one thing I accidentally left out of my report that you all got sent. If possible, we encourage OTI to pursue designs that provide tables or other surfaces. Again, this is just if there's going to be seating, let's make it a place like kids can bring their laptops and like sit down and use, right? Bring people out into communities together. But we felt like that was less important than seating. So if possible, we'd like them to consider that. Sorry, I'm moving on. All right, climate resiliency and sustainability. In general, we recognize that building things to be climate resilient and sustainable is really, really important. So we want them to be weatherproof. They should have backup batteries and have 4G and 5G connectivity. So in case the power goes out, they can still be used for like critical functions. All of these were recommended by OTI. We also strongly recommend that they be solar powered because it's not enough to just draw on our current electrical grid. They should be self-sufficient as much as possible, not contribute to further fossil fuel reliance. We want them to be outfitted with awnings because we're going to be experiencing more rain and more intense extreme summer heat. And again, we want these things to be inviting, that people come together and actually use. We also recommend that they include large screens and are outfitted with air monitoring systems. So as we experience more wildfires and things like that, these can be used as like giant alerts, like the ones you get on your phone that say, hey, everybody, big storm coming, get inside. Or hey, everybody, the air is really bad, time to put on your masks. If we're going to have things with screens, you might as well use them for the public good. And then my last piece, I promise. In general, aesthetics and design, we've already talked about some of the features we want to see, but we also want them to pursue bold and vibrant designs that include bright colors in the construction materials or through the digital displays. Our communities are colorful, our cultures are colorful, and we're tired of just gray, drab, bland things that don't reflect the people who live in these spaces. So we felt like that was really important. We also wanted them to reference city bus stops, Link NYC kiosks, and airport charging stations as they think about what the designs look like. And wherever possible, to actually repurpose existing city infrastructure. There's no reason why they couldn't remove one of the like glass panels of a city bus stop and replace it with something a little bit more high tech and keep the seating, right? Like these things could help reduce costs, and it's already a place where people gather. And lastly, and hopefully people are really excited about this, we strongly recommend that local community boards be provided with an allotment of advertising time that can be used to promote events from community-based organizations and local businesses to share history, provide civic information, and to celebrate the achievements of community members, like graduating students, faith leaders that are being honored, nonprofit leaders, etc. While we acknowledge that corporate advertising is likely required to help offset the installation and maintenance of these kiosks, we'd strongly prefer to platform local programs and businesses. Everybody's tired of being sold stuff that we don't want. And by providing community boards with a limited amount of guaranteed ad space, this physical infrastructure project could also help support the strengthening of social infrastructure in our communities, giving people an actual reason to come to community boards, to talk about the work they're doing, to come to the Arts and Culture Technology Committee to say, hey, here are things that we want promoted. Will you consider this? While council members could do this, we believe that it's more productive to bring community together in these spaces rather than channeling everything through council members' offices. The one last thing, I already said it. Considering the repurposing existing public infrastructure, that's not in the report that you all received. I missed that from my notes and that was added. So yeah, that's our report. It's a lot. I didn't read through everything. This is like a 2-page long thing. But I really hope that we will all vote in support of this recommendation so that we can send this to OTI and hopefully have a hand in shaping whatever it is they put out to whatever business or whatever, if this is a city infrastructure project that we're going to move. Oh, one last thing. Sorry, I forgot. The Wi-Fi signal strength is the top most priority. And we said that they should really only put these in if the signal strength is going to be strong enough to reach 2nd or 3rd floor apartments. While obviously there's a lot of new housing going up in Bushwick that is a lot higher than we're used to, and areas like Bushwick and other low-income Black and brown communities, 2nd and 3rd floor apartments are still the norm, and kids should be able to sit inside and use this on a rainy day. If it's not strong enough to actually reach through that barrier and reach people on the 2nd or 3rd floor, then what the heck are we doing? Nobody wants to be sitting outside writing their research paper. So that was another important point. All right, thanks everybody.
Hi, everybody. Christian Celeste Tate, Chair of the Committee on Environmental Protection, Transportation, and Sanitation. I'll do RHAP and then hand it to Ben to do parks. So I'll keep this really quick, just 3 updates from our committee. First, we had an informational update or presentation from the Department of Transportation about some roadway improvements that they're bringing to the intersection of Flushing and Scott. That's after the unnecessary and tragic death of a motorcyclist in that area. And so they're essentially doing a bunch of daylighting. It's right on the border of Community Board 4, Community Board 1. So they're doing some more expansive stuff on the other side. But daylighting is really the only thing that's happening on ours. They're installing a few additional stop signs. They're hoping to get contracts nailed down to add a traffic light at that intersection in the future, but that's not coming in the near term. And yeah, that's about it on that. So nothing for us to do, just an informational update on that. A couple other points. First, DDC is installing raised crosswalks at Knickerbocker Ave and Troutman Ave for street calming in response to some accidents there. And the one-way conversion of Ridgewood Place that we have been talking a lot about months and months ago, that's now complete, and all of the traffic and enforcement and signage is up there. That's all that I have in terms of our last meeting, but I do encourage folks to come to our next meeting. We're going to have one more meeting before the end of the session. And we got a lot on the agenda there, including some things about bike lanes, which I know can be kind of, can spark a lot of conversation. So as a reminder, the committee is the place to have that conversation, not the full board meeting. So if that's something you care about, please come to our meeting and talk about it there so that we can keep things moving when we come back next month.
Hi, everyone.
I'm sorry, and I know, and he forgot, they trimmed the stop sign, the tree. That was very important because they put the stop sign that wasn't there, but they left the tree there. Why? You can't see the stop sign if the tree ain't pruned.
I'm glad to hear that they trimmed that tree. That was a contentious issue in the meeting. Hi, everyone. Ben Tucker, Parks Chair. We had nearly no Parks business in the last meeting, but I just want to say one small note from our committee mail review. Parks Department has gotten a special application. They filed a special application to use certain pesticides that had previously been banned by the city charter. They said that they needed to use these. So I would suggest check the committee report, or you can let me know if you're curious about it. But the names of these pesticides are Safari 20SG, Dinotefuran, and Alamo. But if this is something that you want to be careful about, I would say check the committee report and look these up. These are pesticides that are considered carcinogenic. I don't think the Parks Department is going to be using them all over the place. It seems like they had a specific issue with certain trees that needed this special permit, but worth raising attention to it. And then the other thing is, you guys heard I asked the deputy inspector this. This comes up almost every meeting at the Parks Committee, but we do have plenty of issues with off-leash dogs. And I commend the deputy inspector for trying to support the parks enforcement on this. Our board has suggested in our budget recommendations, we asked for parks enforcement to be increased. That was met with a no. So we're just going to have to do whatever we can. And I'm going to echo Christian's, what he said is if you have concerns about parks, please come to the committee meeting so we can discuss it there, because that's when we have the most time to have these discussions. Thanks, everyone.
Okay. Mr. Camacho has asked for me to give the Permits and Licenses Committee report for this month. I was also asked to facilitate since he was only able to attend virtually while on vacation. So I will summarize. There were several non-controversial applications with the exception of a spa, and I'll start with that one. It is Spa VIP LLC, 120 Evergreen, which is on the corner of Evergreen and Melrose. They are applying for a new wine, beer, cider license. It's a tavern, wine, and a spa. The way that they described is they'll have several rooms that have to be reserved. They're private rooms that have to be reserved in advance. In the room, they'll have a jacuzzi, 2 different types of saunas, and a 3,000 square foot space. And they will operate by reservation with a maximum capacity of 2 adults for up to 90 minutes. And they're applying for a beer wine cider license to be able to serve food with a beverage, if that's something that patrons are choosing to do, only within the private room for consumption. There were many concerns about this. There's no precedent for a spa to serve alcohol in Bushwick. However, there are other spas across the city that have liquor licenses, but this will be CB4's first. Their intended sale of alcohol hours are within the STIPs, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. all days. The second application was Yo Baby Laleens at 1131 Broadway, new wine, beer, cider as well. This is located between DeKalb and Kosciuszko Street. They are a coffee shop with a short pastry and breakfast menu. They want to extend their hours, their food menu, and include a beer, wine, cider license. They provided a nice complimentary presentation to the other paperwork that they submitted. One of the owners, a husband and wife team, the husband has experience with other restaurants in the district, such as Sally Roots, Sally's in Bed-Stuy, so on and so forth. Their intended hours of operation, or alcohol sales rather, Monday to Thursday, 12 to 11, Friday through Saturday, 12 to 12, and Sundays, 12 to 11. So again, within the STIPs. And the third was Chipotle. So this Chipotle wants to serve wine, beer, and cider as well. It's located at 431 Knickerbocker Avenue on the corner of Harmon and Knickerbocker. Let's see. Everyone is familiar with what a Chipotle is for the most part, casual Mexican restaurant. Now we have some of these casual fast food chains that are now serving or intending to serve alcohol. Their alcohol hours are 10:45 in the morning to 11 p.m. all days within the CB4 STIPs. And that was the end of the new applications. There was a class change applicant who was coming for a liquor, wine, beer, cider license. This is for Plaza Ortega Corp at 140 Stanhope Street on the corner of Myrtle and Stanhope. It's a restaurant. They've been open for 5 years with a wine, beer, cider license, and they are now returning for a class change to full liquor. They checked in, and let's see. The applicant's son, Jack Ortega, was on. He spoke on behalf of the business. They were willing to discuss their hours, and then they submitted the required documentation to be within the CB for stipulations today, or on 5/20, which was yesterday. And their intended sale of alcohol hours, Monday through Thursday, 5 p.m. to 12 a.m., Friday through Saturday, 5 p.m. to 2, and Sundays from 11 to 2 a.m. And then there were two, I believe, expansion onto municipal property applicants, which for those that aren't familiar are the Dining Out NYC program. So we view the DOT portion separately that is now handled administratively by the office as per the committee's recommendation and the full board vote. However, we still get an alteration, essentially another notice through the SLA for them to be able to expand onto municipal property. There were two applications. The first was 101 Wilson Bar, which is at 101 Wilson Avenue between Star and Troutman, Bar Tavern, Roadway Cafe, with 3 tables and 16 chairs. We had committee members flag significant complaints, and there was a robust discussion about, what's happening at all hours, especially when they're closing. There was discussion about having some type of way to prevent folks from loitering when the business is closed. But essentially, quality of life issues that result from folks being in there with loud volume and noise. Most of the applicants that were there seem receptive. They want to find a way to work with the community. They seem community minded. And so, it's hopeful, but we have to see, put the conversation into practice. Cabin Hospitality Juke Bar at 400 Troutman was the second application that's on between Wyckoff and Irving. Another Bar Tavern, and this is a sidewalk and roadway cafe. They took over the location, which was previously known as Tipsy Dog Bar. Did not have a good history due to noise complaints and patron loitering. They have a different business operation as a cocktail bar with a short bar food menu. And they've been listening to the concerns of residents and try to keep in mind the minimization of noise transference. I want to say that both of those applicants for the last two, they stayed the entire meeting, which went almost like shortly past 8. So their intentions clearly were there to listen and to be, community minded. Let's see. We also briefly went back to another municipal property applicant, Johnson 369, for the Johnsons at 369 Troutman Street. So one of the public attendees had photos of their outdoor signage promoting the overconsumption of alcohol to patrons. There hasn't been any, many changes with regards to noise and loitering outside. However, he's been in contact with the owner and they are discussing possible solutions. Let's see. And then the next agenda item, the good neighbor policy was reviewed and Mr. Camacho emphasized that this is it. June is it. The committee has to make a recommendation. It's been discussed for a few months and they provided some brief feedback on some of the comments. I highly recommend all board members take a look at that policy, come prepared for next month's discussion. And if there's anything that you see is missing or you want to be involved in the conversation, then feel free to reach out or attend the Permits and Licenses Committee meeting. And there was one other note, couple of things, but one applicant for a liquor license, they contacted the board's office after receiving support for 276 Knickerbocker for a restaurant. They only expanded the space within the restaurant. So additional tables and chairs. There were no other changes to their method of operation or the type of liquor license they're applying for. And Mr. Camacho determined that it was, okay for them to just submit the updated paperwork and for the committee to consider it without having them to come in, present all over again, because they just presented the month before. And so the committee included the recommendation for that in their recommendations as well. And we'll get there. And I believe there was one other notice for OCM. There was someone who had previously, I believe it was Pacha. Yeah, it was Pacha. Pacha applied, let me see if I can find that in the report. Yep, Pacha at 44 Wyckoff Avenue, or they applied for 44 Wyckoff. There have been changes to revised rulemaking for public convenience and advantage from the Office of Cannabis Management. Pacha was seeking to have some type of establishment. They were not approved when they came before the board with their application. And then OCM also rejected their original application due to proximity to another business. This appeal was not supported based on the original lack of support. Let's see. And there were some notes in reference to updates from the SLA, just noting that they have a strict 30-day notice timeline. So the board has 30 days. There's no moratorium. There's no extension. The board has 30 days to provide comment. So we do our best. This is also something that was flagged. Usually the board is on recess July and August, but we may receive notices. So the board has to proactively decide how they intend to process those, whether that means meeting in July and August. We have a meeting in August, but we usually don't meet in July, or having the office administratively process those applications. It's a conversation to be had at the next meeting. We were running late with this meeting due to the amount of information that was discussed. Other contact information was provided, and that concludes this report.
I also want to let everyone know that 140 Stanhope is next to the daycare center, Bushwick United, and it's less than 500 feet. So he would have to apply for 500 foot, but he indicated when he changed his method of operation that the hours of operation would be when when the school closes. So if the school is closed after 5, his license would kick in until a certain time. That's why he changed his hours of operation. And the owner is here. He's right there. So we want to make sure that he had came over to make sure. So we did speak to the director, Mr. Rodriguez from the daycare. And he said that it was after it's okay because, kids come from that school and he's right around in the corner. So the methods of operations in compliance to no school because it's closed and also in the summertime when it's closed. So it's in regards to those hours where there is no kids in the school. So he's willing to work with that.
Thank you, Mr. Camacho. Go ahead. Yeah, I was going to open for questions. Good to the mic.
Pablo Rivera, CB4 member. So we've eaten there, and he was at the table, and he happens to recognize me. I said, "Oh, you from the?" He said, "Yeah." Now my wife and me, we go there a lot, and I agree 99.9 with everything. The nightlife here is ridiculous. It's crazy, but he's an example of why we have to see cases on case-by-case basis. Him and his wife, you go there, they make these wine margaritas with these tacos. They're really nice. They come to your table. They make you feel like you're in your grandma's kitchen. Okay? Okay, I'm just sorry. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Madam Parliamentarian. Thank you, Pablo. All
Yo,
right.
Pablo, how much he paying you?
Stop.
The joke is.
Point of order. All right, so let's keep the agenda moving. We have another question, or was that, okay, just want to be sure. No one on Zoom. All right, so we can move on. Shape Up Bushwick. Go ahead, Reverend Stewart, followed by Youth and Education, Virgie Jones.
All right, good evening, everyone. We have about 6 pages of report, which shows you the amount of work that we're doing. I'm grateful as always to Kim and Celeste for really keeping us on track to doing what we need to do. I'm not going to highlight everything, but I do want to highlight this list of individuals that we're going to honor. Thank you, sir. Oh, thank you, sir. All right, so we're going to honor Reverend Alvina Davis, Ashenhat Gomez, Paula Melendez, Rodney D'Onofrio, Pablo Rivera, Samari Trinidad. And so the planning committee really wanted to pay honor to these 6 individuals. And so we will do that at the Shape Up Bushwick event. That's on Thursday, the 5th of June. Our last planning meeting is next week, Thursday, on the 29th, and we are going to be finalizing the events. I'm glad to say that we actually have a live band and a DJ at the same event. And so to do that within a 4-hour event, some might say that's overkill, but we think that it'll be a wonderful time. So we're hoping that each and every one of you will come out and will help to be a part of that amazing event. We have a lot of city vendors, a lot of things that we will be giving away, as well as fun activities as part of the event. And so grateful as always to plan this event and looking forward to having it come to fruition on the 5th.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate you. Hi, everyone. Good evening. My name is Virgie Jones. I'm not that short. Come on. So grandkids now. All right. So I am Virgie Jones, the Youth and Education chairperson for the Youth and Education Committee. All right. And we had our meeting on May 5th. And at our meeting, we had our new superintendent, Parache. Am I saying it correctly, Mr. Camacho? Yes, thank you. All right. And she came in, she introduced herself to us. We didn't have a quorum, but it was basically informational. She is taking over for Dr. Lozada, who we know retired. And we know with Dr. Lozada, we really made strides with the Youth and Education Committee. And we want that collaboration to continue, and also with the CEC. She talked about their core values and everything. Our report is what, 4 pages, but I'm not going to read everything at this time of the night. I'm really not going to read everything. And she talked about the district's attendance. She said it was 92%. And I think that's higher than it was last year, if I remember correctly. And as always, thank you, Mr. Camacho, for always being at all of our meetings and for your assistance and your support. And she also brought with her Michelle Freeman Harrison. Right. I don't have her title, and I don't want to say the wrong title, but that's who came with her to the meeting. And they did come in person to the meeting as well. And some of the other things that she talked about was their math program that they have and their literacy program that they have. And she also encouraged her team to share their ideas and thoughts, and she will share our community board's email address with the school principals, because they come to us afterwards, talk about these wonderful celebrations that they had. And then we're like, we're not invited. We don't know about them till afterwards. So that's something that we're going to try to be more present at the celebrations, but if we don't know about it, we don't know about it. So we're trying to increase that and get a better communication going with that. The other person that came, well, Lauren Dorville from Level Up program coordinators for the Brooklyn Public Library. I had met her at one of the functions that I was attending for Abney, and she has some technical issues, so we're going to have her hopefully September or October of next year when we start back up. But it's different programs that they have at the Brooklyn Public Library, and it would be providing informational on the library system level of program. We had some committee mail review, which was basically informational. And then for our announcements, Chris Graham, who's also, thank you, Chris, for always being there for the youth and education as well. And we know that Chris does the 27-year-old program of the visiting the HBCs, correct, Chris? Okay, that was canceled at the last minute due to unforeseen circumstances. And Chris will probably talk about that, or we'll talk about it at another time as to how we can support them to ensure that this program continues, because a lot of students, they don't get a chance to go away, you know, but this was free, and they had also worked up, attended the classes and everything, working up, being ready to go, and then it was canceled at the last minute. Nicola, a student finishing her master's in public health at CUNY School for Public Health, spoke on a bill intro 702-2024 that aims to ensure public school students in New York City have access to meals even during school closures. And we know that that was something that was very present during COVID, because a lot of the schools, you know, they were open and the kids were able to go in and get meals, and the families were able to go in and get meals as well. So she says to speak to our politicians, for lack of a better, council people about assembly. Thank you. All right, people. Delon, yeah, Delon, correct, yes, about supporting this initiative that's coming up. And the bill is currently in the Committee on Fire and Emergency Management, and is sponsored by Jermaine Williams with co-sponsorship from other officials. Thank you on that. Also, Julia Foster, who's the adult ed ESL, she talked about some new programs that are coming up, and she said that she was working on setting up an informational tape at Wyckoff Hospital, and she's going to be providing some more information about adult education programs, and we were glad to see that those are not being cut anymore in our neighborhood. And there's a big demand for it. CB4, Shape of Bushwick, and we're happy to hear about that, and that's, as Reverend Stewart already said, that's going to be on June 5th at Irving Square Park. Association for Black Educators of New York, we're having for the seniors for the scholarship, unfortunately, no one from District 32, CB4 applied for the scholarships, but we're giving the information out. That's all we can, that's the best we can do. But in regards to that, as a former assistant principal, we know that all schools have graduations and all schools have stepping up ceremonies. Now, the Association for Black Educators of New York, every year we give out service awards, all right? But in order for those students to receive that service award, you have to let the Association for Black Educators of New York know. So they can submit the names, they type up the certificates, and they email it back to and they send it back to the schools. The deadline for that is going to be for the nominations is May 31st. Please, I'm urging, I'm pleading. We need to have more Community District 32 students represented, all right? Because even if they're in kindergarten, they can receive a service award, all right? And that's one less award that the school will have to provide for these students. And the students feel good when they get a service award. You know, the different activities that they're doing in the school. So please, I urge, I beg, I plead with you, please, let's try to make sure that our students are represented as well. All right? And if there are any questions or anything, you can contact the district office, or either you can contact me or whatever, okay? And they will give you the information for that. I'd like to say welcome to our new members, and I hope that some of them will consider joining the Youth and Education Committee. All right? Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Virgie. That's how you do it. That's how you get members on your committee. All right, we will move on now. If there are no questions for the committee report, we will go right into our recommendations. And I will let Mr. Camacho, I know he had an executive board recommendation. Did you want to go first or you want to go last?
No, I'll go first. There is a recommendation, and one of the recommendations that the executive board I requested a lower, but they requested higher, so they outbeat me. There's a recommendations to give Celeste De Leon a merit increase of 9.99% to our district manager. James Stewart made the motion, Zach Henry the second, all were in favor. So I'm requesting that we accommodate our district manager in regards to a 9.9% merit increase. Do I have do I? Yes, you do. You got a question? Go ahead.
Zach Hendrickson, CB4 board member. I see a lot of confused faces, especially new board members. This is related to Celeste's salary as district manager. We set that. Currently, she is far below what the citywide average salary is, and we want to give her as much of a raise as is allowed to bring her closer to that.
Thank you. I couldn't say any better myself. I have a Reverend James Stewart. Name. Everything has to be done because this is pre-recorded, and if I don't do it, they're gonna say I'm doing. So you got to say the name, the person. All in favor? Any abstention? Any opposed? Motion carried. That means my budget's gonna go down. I think that was it. All right, I think that's it for mine. Thank you.
Yes, that was the only one for executive. Now there's arts, culture, technology. Zach, do you want to just run through the committee rec? Yeah, you don't have to read just what the committee recommended based on the feedback. Yeah.
But I think everybody, to be fair, has it in there.
Yeah, I think it's everything I said earlier.
Yep.
Which is a lot, and a few things I didn't say, but that are also really good. We would be motioning to submit the report that I wrote based on our conversation to the Mayor's Office of Technology and Information as official feedback from Community Board 4 as part of their RFI process.
Robert Camacho moves.
So, okay, Mr. Camacho made the motion. Eliseo, I heard Eliseo, was that you? Seconds? Okay.
All in favor?
Hello,
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carried.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, Tanisha.
I was trying to say that I would like to abstain from this voting.
From the OTI?
Yes.
Okay.
So there is one abstention. Are there any other abstentions?
Thank you.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, and last we have permits and licenses. The committee separated the spa from the rest of the applicants. And there is one amendment. This is for Plaza Ortega. The hours for Sunday are within the steps from 11 a.m. to 12 a.m. So that's what was recommended for support. Does the board want to make a blanket vote for those applications and separate the spa?
With the abstention separating
with
the
the
spa.
exception of the spa. Okay, so blanket without the spa.
That was
So this is just to put all of those recommendations together. That's the blanket vote for folks that aren't familiar. So that's Zach, and then who seconded? Annette, okay, Annette seconds. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, motion carried. And then for the recommendations for those specifically, so the committee recommended to approve those applications that were reviewed. Is there a motion? Okay, Mr. Fowler seconded. All in favor? Any opposed?
Alvina,
Any abs-
Alvina
oh.
Davis abstained.
Oh, abstains. Okay, I got you, Alvina. Anyone else? Any other abstentions? Seeing and hearing none, this motion carries. And now for the spa, let me just flip to what was recommended. Let's see. So there was a motion made by Isa Abney to vote in favor of the establishment for Spa VIP at 120 Evergreen with recognition of the stipulations and submission of the required documentation. And then it referenced the conversation. Let me just go. The gist of what I can recall without reading through the report specifically is that the board wanted to have more information on how other types of applicants operate. As of today, I haven't received other information. I know that we sent an email to the SLA. Kim contacted the SLA, following up on the committee. They responded that this doesn't just go through the SLA. If they are operating a spa, they have to get health department permits as well. So this isn't something that's just going to be given out the way they would give out a standard beer, liquor, wine, beer, cider license. And this is only for wine, beer, and cider. So this is something that goes under review. There is precedent. So in the meeting, Bathhouse was referenced. We know Bathhouse has its own separate issues that they've been facing recently. But it's something that we would have to look into further. There's only 30 days though. So the committee would have to make a recommendation on this application this evening with the information that we were able to attain.
I, Robert Camacho, make a recommendation that we don't support that establishment. No information on how the location will establish the drinking and no method of operation in regards that we have. So I don't think that we should be approving it. I don't know.
There is the email from the SLA. I want to be clear on what we received. So let me just pull that up because they did reference how their operation would have to be different because they're receiving within the room. So we would allow a spa or salon to apply for a license. Since this is spa services, we would require something from the Department of Health stating that the service of food is allowed is with a license that the service and preparation of food is required. Most of the licensees for these locations are licensed as a tavern wine license under 81A. If alcohol is traveling into rooms, we would require a method of operation outlining proper supervision by the licensee for the rooms. So that is,
Exactly what I was saying.
so if
That-
you
that-
want to stipulate, that's something
Yeah,
that SLA requires.
That's exactly what I was saying because their philosophy was that they would go get the beer and bring it. They don't even know what they're doing. So I don't think that they should be operating according to the guidelines of the SLA if that's what they want to do. And that's the only way we can protect ourselves by saying yes with a blanket and not speculating what it is. They'll give them whatever it is. And we have to make sure that later on we don't pay for it when they're doing things and something occurs, something happening, because it sounds like it's a liability issue. So we really need to cross our T's and dot our I's. I, for one, I prefer if everybody wants to do vote on their own, a single vote. I make a recommendation, we do single vote. Whoever wants it, whoever doesn't can vote, and then we'll vote on it in regards to.
So that, do you have two different recommendations? One was to not approve it and
Not
then
approve it.
now you're recommending a
Yeah.
roll call vote? Or what do you?
A separate vote because everybody has difference, I think, in what they.
Okay, so if you're recommending, you have a question? Yeah, go ahead.
Joanna Bennett, I think that I would go along with, we just have a vote. And the committee is recommending not to support this
The
organization.
committee recommended to approve it. The full board can recommend to not approve it. Yeah.
Point of
Yes,
information.
go ahead, go
Celeste.
ahead. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Christian Celeste Tate, board member, just quick clarification though. The establishment is operating, or the application is within the stipulations that we've all
Correct.
agreed on as a board.
Correct.
And the only way that they would receive an approved application is if they also meet health department and SLA requirements.
Correct.
Thank you, Christian. Sorry for
Yeah,
not
but
being
they didn't
here
bring
tonight.
any document.
So they're not required to bring that documentation to the board. The board only provides advisory feedback on their hours and on any other concerns that may be had. So if there are concerns about things they've yet to provide, I'm pretty sure he mentioned that they're still in construction, so they wouldn't have some of those things, but they would be providing them to us once they become available. That was for everyone. That's standard for anyone. So,
That's a
Yeah,
one.
again,
sorry.
go ahead. Issa,
Yeah,
go ahead.
sorry I'm not there tonight. I'm not really feeling great. But for all the new members, can we just clarify what happens if we don't support this business? Can we just share that information?
So if the board decides to not support the applicant will still go before the SLA, and the SLA may choose to still provide that license without considering any of the stipulations that the board has put in place. So for instance, let's say they decide that, they didn't get what they wanted from the board with the hours that they put, they could change their hours of operation and go to the SLA and get hours from like 10 a.m. to 4 a.m. I'm not saying that that's what they're going to do, but they could present different information. They could get a license anyways, and it would be basically without the board's input. But again, there is a time and a place for a no vote, and that's up for this body to decide. But I think we've been presented with information to take all of that into consideration. So there is a motion. There are two motions. I have not heard a second for either. So just to go ahead, if you want to come up to the mic.
Hi, Jason Gurr, CB4. What I've heard here as a board member is that normally the licenses that we do not approve, my understanding is it's generally because either the business does not want to engage with us or they do not abide by the stipulation. So if there's reasoning to vote against this approval that is different than those two things, maybe we could just make that more clear so we can vote based on that information. Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, Celeste.
Go ahead.
It's
Yeah.
Tanisha. I just wanted to say something, just in case, it's not unheard of for a spa to be to serve wine and beer. This happens all the time, I think, in the city and all over. I've personally been, so I just want to make this is common these days. So just everyone is aware. It's not something that's unheard of. Maybe something that has not happened in Bushwick so far, but it's not unheard of.
Okay. So the committee recommendation was in favor. There are two motions that have not been seconded. So there wasn't a first motion. So you're moving. Okay, Christian, thank you for moving that motion. Ben Tucker seconds. All in favor? Let me turn over a new sheet of paper. Any opposed? Okay, one at a time, please. So, okay, one moment. Keep your hand, I'm gonna look around. Joanna Bennett, Annette Spellin, Barbara Jackson, Robert Camacho. You're opposed. This is opposed. Yeah, oppose the spa. Okay. Okay. So I have okay,
Next.
on Zoom. Okay, Zuma opposed. Z.
Lavina Davis abstain.
Okay, I'm on opposed right now, Alvina. I'm gonna
Okay.
get to abstain, momentarily. I just want to make sure I have everybody's vote recorded. So I have, okay, is this opposed still? Okay.
Hicks opposed.
I have you, Deborah. Let me
Okay.
see, Cindy. Okay, so I'm gonna repeat, opposed? Okay. I'm going really hard on the spot, okay. Yeah, I got Reverend Stewart. So Joanna Bennett, Annette Spellin, Barbara Jackson, Robert Camacho, Pablo Rivera, Zuma Novoa, Deborah Hicks, James Stewart, Cindy LeBron, Yarenson Ortiz Guzman, all opposed. Did I miss anyone that's opposed? Eliseo opposed. And now for abstentions, I have Elvina. Any other abstentions aside from Elvina? Millie? And Virgie. Any other abstentions? I have Elvina, Millie, and Virgie. Okay. So that's 14. However, we had a quorum with 30 earlier, so that means we have it by like a couple of votes, so the motion still carries. All right. That, I believe, brings us to the end of our recommendations. Last call for recommendations, going once.
A point of order.
Correct.
The motion carries in regards to the
The
committee's,
SPA has support.
with the committee's
The committee
recommendation,
recommendation with stipulation.
with
Correct.
stipulation.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, no other recommendations. Old business, going once, going twice. New business.
Annette Spelling, I just wanted to say that on May 13th, I attended the mayor's New York City Faith Office monthly meeting. It's something that's new, and it involves clergy from throughout the city, all religions. And one of the things that they discussed were programs such as the Explorers Program, Summer Youth Program, clergy partnership with the NYPD, food, clothing, and support for sheltered families. It's a monthly meeting that I'll be attending. So if you have any questions that you think that I might need to present to them, let me know. My committee, Civic, Public Safety, and Religious Committee will have our next meeting on June 12th at the Community Board office.
Thank you. And quorum is essential for that meeting. We have not only the co-naming for Pernell Chance for those that knew him, but also for Barbara Smith. We need a quorum to get those recommendations passed for the full board to vote in June.
Yes, if we don't get a quorum, then it won't go through. And they did, the parents did, and the kids did their due diligence in regards to getting the name and they get everything together. And we didn't have quorum that day, so.
Thursday, June 12th. All right, if there's no other new business, announcements are a minute and a half. Is Barbara, are you making a recommendation for a minute? Is there a motion for that recommendation? Felix makes a motion for 1 minute. Is there a second? Christian seconds. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Announcements, you have a minute. Please line up in front. We will be timing you. Raise your hands on Zoom.
Okay, Kimberly Vega from Councilmember Gutierrez's office. So our office, along with members of other elected official offices, went door knocking on nearly 500 buildings that were on the lien list. The deadline was extended to June 2nd, but we started off with over 750 buildings and we are down to 244. So if anyone is still on that list, please call 311. For participatory budget, we broke the record and we had the most votes in the city again. We have not announced the winners yet, but we will be discussing and how we're going to do this. The last free yoga session is with Greater Ridgewood Restoration will be on May 31st at 10 a.m. They're at the Grover Cleveland volleyball courts, but they're open to everyone. So mats are available while supplies last. On June 7th, we will be joining Riseboro for a cleanup at Wyckoff Plaza from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Our clinics are still going on. There's a flyer on the table if anyone needs it. Summer is coming up. And as always, if there are any spots with excessive garbage and excessive noise, please let us know. We will be having a free virtual workshop with Take Root Justice on basics of smart banking and credit, from managing your money to understanding your credit score. That's going to be on June 4th at 6 p.m. That's it. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Cirillo Tony Nunez. On behalf of Bushwick Sports and Recreations, we still have ongoing registration for baseball and girls softball. And also, I'd like to invite everyone on Saturday, June 14th at 11 a.m. at Hope Ball Field. We're going to be hosting a home run derby for 9 to 12-year-olds. The winners are going to have an opportunity to advance to a professional field to compete, representing Bushwick, of course. This event will be sponsored by Little League and T-Mobile. Hope to see you all out there cheering the kids on.
Hey everyone, Lacey Tauber, Brooklyn Borough President's Office. Hi. First, I just want to say welcome to all the new members. I had so much fun interviewing you all, so please come say hi so I can remember your face and your name in real life. I just one announcement from us. It's graduation season, so we have opened the graduation awards nominations. So if you're a school administrator at a Brooklyn-based school, you can nominate students for a graduation award from the BP until May 29th at 5 p.m. You can find that on our website, brooklynbp.nyc.gov. Thanks.
I feel the pressure. It's 1 minute. Maria Valdez from the Office of Senator Julia Salazar. We have the Department of Buildings in our office, 212 Evergreen Avenue on June 12th from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. You will be able to get support with general zoning, permit questions, resolving open DOB, oath violations, resolving stop work orders, questions on construction projects. I left the flyer back there. You can register or you can call our office to make an appointment at 718-573-1726. We also continue with tenant support unit every first Tuesday of the month at our office from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Walk-ins are welcome, but if you need a private conversation, you can call our office to make an appointment at 718-573-1726. Thank you.
Christopher Graham, CB4 member. Welcome new board members. Thank you. Thank you for coming out and being with us. So this one of the reasons we come to meetings like this is to find out stuff that's going on in the neighborhood. And one of the things you guys need to know is that, things are closing and the next thing to go is our pharmacies. The pharmacies are about to close, your local pharmacies. And the reason why, because there's pharmacy benefit management abuse. And basically what that means is that the powers that be stare, you, when you come out of the hospital, it stares you to their pharmacies where they pay more. Whereas local pharmacy, they're paying them peanuts and they're going out of business. So what we need to do is there's a bill on the table and it's a Scopus McDonald bill. Call your senator, call your assemblyman and tell them to support this bill so that our pharmacies can stay in business. Thank you.
Hi everyone, Zachary Hendrickson here. A couple events coming up in the next couple of weeks, hosted by New York City DSA that I think would be of interest to this community board. The first is that we'll be hosting a Know Your Rights training, what to do if ICE comes to your door or if you see people being harassed by immigration enforcement. That's going to be held next Friday, May 30th at 7 p.m. at Misfit Kava Bar, which is at 82 Central Avenue. So if you know anyone who's interested, yeah, really important skills for all of us to be equipped with. And then secondly, I want to invite everyone. We'll be hosting a watch party for the mayoral debates. It's a big thing happening. We talk all the time about not having funding for all the different things that we need and we care about in this community board. The mayoral debate is going to be a big moment. That is happening June 4th, which is 2 Wednesdays from now. It is at 7 p.m. and the address is 563 Johnson Avenue here in Bushwick. But if you can't make that and you're interested in other locations, we'll be hosting them all across the city. June 4th at 7 p.m. Be there at 6:30.
Okay, I'll be super quick. Good evening, everyone. My name is Leonard Murphy. I am the founder and director of a Bridge to Empowerment Project. We are a new nonprofit 501c3 here in Bushwick. We're located at 725 Evergreen Avenue. I'm raised here, born and raised in Bushwick, so I'm just happy to be back and be able to serve this community where I grew up at. We're social service, like I said, we're social services nonprofit. So I just want to come introduce myself and hopefully connect with as many of you in here as possible and do great things here in Bushwick. Thank you.
I come bearing gifts. So I wanted to be at the end because there may be chaos. First announcement, I have really good news. We managed to remove 920 homes from the tax lien sale list in our district. So thank you to all of our volunteers who helped us save homes in the council members district. There's still time. I brought a flyer, the extension for the list. The Department of Finance has extended the deadline until June 2nd. So if you don't know, there's still plenty of homes in Bushwick on the list. Here's the information. Second announcement is we are hosting a webinar where folks can come talk to a lawyer about program relief for utility bills, any kind of relief, how to file a complaint with the big companies that charge you for your electrical bills, heating, cooling, etc. We are also doing a bike helmet giveaway at the park. I brought it there. I have 1,500 helmets to give away. So please come get a helmet. I have the legal clinic, the family clinic, all the flyers are there. And last but not least, the highly coveted compost bin. I only have 10. I'm not going to be responsible for giving them out. If you already have one, please let someone else take one.
Excuse me, Celeste. Where's the young lady that was announcing something about Broadway?
I'm not sure, Deborah, about Broadway. I'm not sure, but I see we have someone on Zoom with an announcement. Go ahead, Deborah.
Hi, I'm Debbie from Assemblywoman Maritza Davila's office as a member of the planning committee of the Knickerbocker Puerto Rican Day Parade on June 8th at 3 o'clock. The deadline to register is this Friday, May 23rd. On Thursday, May 29th, Assembly Member Davila, in collaboration with local officials, District Attorney Office, and Wavecrest Management, and 83rd Precinct are hosting a town hall for Hope Gardens Development and Bushwick Community. That's at 6:30 right there at 195 Linden Street. As always, the Assembly Members' office is open from 9 to 5. We are there to help constituents when needed assistance with anything, filing applications for housing, etc. And we also have a housing clinic for tenants twice a month, the first and the third Tuesday of every month. Thank you.
Thank you. Are you able to send me flyers? I don't believe the board
Yes.
has received the flyers
Will
for
do.
these events. Thank you.
Will do. Okay, thank you.
Sabrina, go ahead.
Happy New Evening, everyone. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak again. I'm so sorry about earlier. So briefly, my name is Sabrina again. I'm representing Haitian Centers Council. We're called HCC. We're at 1491 Broadway Avenue. And we are a social services organization, 501c3 nonprofit. We offer mental health, substance abuse, HIV, AIDS support, prevention, and education. Along with testing to ages 19 to 29, we're hiring outreach specialists, health navigators, case managers, mental health counselors. We have many different programs branching out to legal services, immigration services, as well as we have ESL classes and much more. My phone number, if anyone is interested, is 718-940-2200, extension 124. And you can log on to the website, hccinc.org, if you would like to apply to any of our positions or call me directly. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sabrina. Do you mind repeating your number? I wasn't able to hear.
Absolutely. It's 718-940-2200. And my direct extension is 124.
124?
Yes.
Okay, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you
I
so
believe
much.
that concludes our announcements for this evening. We will move on now to our second roll call. Is there a motion or a motion? Look at me. Ready, we're all ready. I know we're all ready. I'm skipping ahead. Linda Whitfield, Jerry Valentine, Ben Tucker. Second roll call, folks. I got Ben, Christian Tate, James Stewart, B. Spiderman, Annette Spellin, Juan Serra, Milagro Sandoval, Josue Salazar, Eliseo Ruiz, Pablo Rivera, Shrey Richardson, Laura Ronzado, Yerenson Ortiz Guzman, Cirillo Nunez, Alex Moreno's excused from work, Freddie Madison, Christine Malden, Cindy LeBron, got you, Cindy, Nancy Keith, Giovanni Justiniano, Tara Jones Thomas, Virgie Jones, Barbara Jackson, Tanisha Honeygan,
Present. Good night.
Deborah Hicks,
Good night.
Courtney Henley, Zachary Hendrickson, Elaine Hamilton, Ann Guiney, Christopher Graham, Jason Gares, Alan Gamboa, Joanna Fuentes Singh, Freddie Fowler, Elvina Davis,
Present. Good night.
Andrew Choi, Felix Ceballos, Tevin Campbell, Robert Camacho, Joanna Bennett, Tiani Belliard, Stephanie Anderson, Isa Abni.
Present.
Motion to adjourn.
Zinavoa, good
Zach
night. I didn't hear
Hendrickson
my
makes the
name.
motion. Who seconds?
I didn't hear my
Second.
name. Good
Felix
night.
Ceballos seconds. All in favor? Any
Aye.
opposed? Any abstentions?
Celeste, did you
So
call
moved.
Navoa?
9:37. Go home, everyone. Good night. Be safe.
All right, good night.
Good night. Thank you again.